And what you had three teens, as you mentioned, how young they were. 15-year-old who had a Glock 29 that was modified to be fully automatic. Another boy was 16. He had a stolen Glock 19. The cops chased after them on foot when someone else leaned over the top of a Honda Accord that was driving away and started shooting a rifle in the direction of the three teenagers and the two police officers. There were at least 20 shots fired, according to witnesses, what they heard. And there are people out on, date night, going out to eat because millions of dollars has been invested in the Foundry to have live music there, entertainment. I know they have night markets with shops, a ton of food venues. It's a place where you go. My brother, who I mentioned, just got married. He had his part of his bachelor party. They went down to the Armory, right? A lot of guys,
which is close by.
A lot of guys that don't live in the city, but they're coming downtown. It was packed, and that a couple of days ago was a great story of, oh my gosh, the Armory was packed. Lots of young people in their late 20s, maybe early 30s, hanging out, playing games, watching football, having beer. Immediately followed up by a story like this, where cars are getting broken into, and you have a shootout where you have guys leaning over the top of fleeing cars, shooting at cops, and also shooting at three other teens who have a Glock modified to be fully automatic. That sounds like chaos. That is also something that would have necessitated a press conference with the mayor in previous years. Now it kind of feels like old hat. Oh yeah, another shooting, more car break-ins. But I remember talking to some of the reporters in the newsroom saying that it's downtown, not just the whole city proper, but downtown, the heart of downtown did not always have this. There's always been crime in St. Louis.
And the crime's
but
always
it wasn't
been
in the heart of the city and Midtown.
Right. And it has always been relatively high here compared to other cities in the country. I mean,
yes.
And that's been true my
But we're
entire
talking
life.
about parts of the city.
Right. But I mean, fewer people live downtown, which leads to what we're talking about. That is having a lot of people living in a particular neighborhood does not prevent crime, does not prevent violent crime from happening or stuff like this. It doesn't prevent it, but it lessens the chance that it does happen because that there is safety in numbers. There's safety in having people populate an area. It's when it's unpopulated that you really have to watch yourself.
We're talking to actually someone tomorrow who was a victim of car break-ins at her parking lot at BJC, because there have been multiple break-ins at these parking lots. And it's almost like we accepted break-ins for a while, going, well, you live in the city. I have friends who live in the city who don't lock their car doors because it's easier than losing a window. You just make sure there are no valuables in the car. You leave the car doors unlocked. Someone can go through, rummage through the car. No harm, no foul. Which to me feels like a violation. I would feel so uncomfortable with that. But they're like, well, it's what you do. But these break-ins have increased. They've become more brazen. They're happening in times where there are people out and about, like at Blues games or out the Foundry or the Armory, which were crowded. And they're breaking into these cars. They're armed. That's what makes this so dangerous. And they're most often kids.
And as it says in the story at KMOX.com, juvenile court asked the officers or told the officers to release the teens to their parents. I mean, this is what I don't know. I don't know what the appropriate thing to do is here as defined by law. My assumption is that the state of Missouri would not allow these teens to be held because nobody was hurt. Because nobody was hit? Is that how the law works? But there's got to be some sort of significant punishment for a 50. I know you're not an adult,
but they know,
but you can't. You can't do this crap.
No, and I do think having listened to some law enforcement officers speak, kids know. They know if you're a kid, it's not the same as if you're an adult, and that adds to some of the brash and brazenness of these crimes, because there is some arrogance / invincibility that comes with being a teenager where you're just going to go for it and make really stupid decisions, especially if you're accustomed to uh, having friends and acquaintances, breaking into cars. It's what we do. We're all getting our guns. But then also knowing you are treated differently by the law. You just are.
So I don't know what the right thing to do is. Change the law?
Yeah.
I don't know.
And I know in St. Charles, they have the Auto Theft Task Force. That was adopted by St. Louis County. We talked to Mark Smith, the chief of police for the Clayton Police Force, and Clayton Mayor Michelle Harris about the Auto Theft Task Force, because when it comes to crime, the number one deterrent is police presence and knowing that there will be some type of consequence or punishment for the crime. It's not the severity of the punishment. Most criminals have no idea what the severity is, aside from kids knowing it's less than adults. They don't know the severity, but they need to know that there will be consequences and people are looking out for this type of crime.
That's Amy Marks Kors. I'm Chris Ranji. When we come back, Missouri State Senator Holly Thompson Rader is going to join us, District 27, about the opioid monitoring program here in the state of Missouri. Very important topic, and we'll talk with her about it when we come back on KMOX.
When you're on a holiday, you can't find the words to say all the things that come to you.
What really matters to you? At Archwell Health, that's what matters to us. When Linda told her doctor about the trip her family planned for her 70th birthday, our team worked together to improve her mobility. Then there's Shirley, who wanted to lose a little weight. She and her doctor chose an Archwell Health exercise class, and her dietitian also had a few ideas. We're here to help you live your life to the fullest, because you are more than a patient. Join today at archwellhealth.com/livewell.
Hi, this is Ken.
And Laurie Heisey of Heisey Advisory Group. We're dedicated to helping individuals and families work toward their financial goals.
Join us Sundays at 9:30 a.m. for Your Retirement Highway.
Investment advisory services by individuals through AE Wealth Management, LLC.
Just when you thought a Genesis couldn't be more attractive, Genesis of St. Charles strikes again, offering you no car payments until April. That's right. Own a brand new Genesis and no car payments until April. Hurry in to Genesis of St. Charles, located in the St. Charles Hyundai building, located a quarter-mile east of Mid-Rivers Mall Drive off 70, or online at genesisofstcharles.com. Interest, if any, accrues during the deferral period, expires month's end. Genesis of St. Charles.
At 10:30, we have cloudy skies and 37 degrees downtown at the Arch. I'm Carol Daniel. Snow is making a comeback. Here's AccuWeather's Matt Benz.
Last time we saw, of course, snow was way back in, that was before Christmas. But we are looking at this storm that is going to develop here today across Texas. It's going to move up through Louisiana later on tonight. Then it gradually moves up towards the Ohio River Valley, heading into tomorrow night. That puts us squarely on the northern edge of the storm. So we are looking at snow overspreading the St. Louis metro.
3 to 6 inches of snow is expected Tuesday into Wednesday. A girl missing for 8 days found unharmed. St. Louis County Police Department saying 12-year-old Akila Jefferson was located safe Saturday after leaving home on the 12th of January, police not explaining the circumstances of her return. Bowling Green State University settling a lawsuit with the family of a sophomore who died in March of 2021 after being hazed. It's the largest payout for a public university in Ohio, $2.9 million. Stone's mother, Sherry Foltz, was asked how the trial differed from the criminal trial.
It's different because I feel like now we can move forward and we can continue to hopefully partner with VG and make progress in eradicating hazing.
Taking a look at the commute. They're cleaning up debris 270 southbound past 64. The right lane is closed there. There's a stall 270 westbound at Newhall's Ferry on the right shoulder, and another stall 44 westbound past 7th Boulevard. That is on the left shoulder. And again, that KMOX forecast this afternoon, we are looking for clouds giving way to some sunshine. The snow enters the picture Tuesday night into Wednesday with 3 to 6 inches expected. We do have a winter storm watch in effect right now. We are looking at partly sunny skies downtown. It is 39 degrees. It feels like 33. I'm Carol Daniel, KMOX News.
What's up, everybody? Guess who's coming to your screens every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday? No Mercy with yours truly, Stephen A. Smith, is now available on YouTube. For the first time in my career, I've got complete freedom to say my piece on everything beyond the world of sports, unfiltered, and now in video. Join me every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at the very least for my take on the biggest headlines and conversations with the biggest names in entertainment. Subscribe now so you don't miss an episode. No Mercy with Stephen A. Smith, a presentation of Cadence 13 and Odyssey Studio. Full episodes available now on YouTube.
This is Tom Ackerman for Ophthalmology Associates. For the best eye doctors, you need to see the doctors at Ophthalmology Associates. YourEyeDoc.com, 314-966-5000.
Broadcasting from the Underlying Three Lawyers, GetJim.com studios.
KMOX. It's a new year and the world of travel is open. This is Debbie Monterey inviting you to join me on an exciting and luxurious 8-day Eastern Mediterranean cruise in September from Venice to Istanbul. We'll be cruising on Oceania Cruise Line's classically elegant Nautica with an amazing itinerary starting in Venice, including the Greek island of Santorini, Athens, Split, Croatia, and an overnight in historic Istanbul. Log on to debbiescruise.com, debbiescruise.com, or call the travel store 800-777-6540.
Your home of the Cardinals.
Arnado swings and hits it deep to left field. That ball is out of here.
The Billikens.
Jumper. Yes! Billikens win!
The Chiefs.
Touchdown! Kansas City!
We are America's sports voice, KMOX.
Chris Ranji, Amy Mark scores on the show on KMOX. And I think perhaps the most pressing crisis facing our country today is one that we don't talk about necessarily every single day in the midst of political conversations, of course, the COVID pandemic. But that crisis is the opioid pandemic that's been hitting cities, rural areas, families, friends across the country. Well, for 10 years, State Senator Holly Thompson Raider has been championing a measure for states to monitor prescription drugs. And now Missouri is set to launch a statewide program that would monitor opioid prescriptions across the state of Missouri to help curb the overdosing we're seeing. And joining us now is Senator Holly Thompson from Sikeston. Thank you so much, Senator Raider, for joining us.
Thank you for having me. Good morning.
Some background. I know this is a personal story for you, a personal issue when it comes to the opioid crisis.
Yeah, so I was raised in, a single parent home. My mother struggled with mental illness and lived in many trailer parks across the U.S. And, drug addiction was commonplace in the places that I grew up. But I kept my kids away from it. And at 17, my daughter cut her thumb at work and got it sewn up in the emergency room, and they gave her a script of Loracet, and that started a 13-year addiction for her. And, my sister was an addict by the time she was 16. My cousin died at 39 from long-term opioid abuse, but my daughter was raised in church. And I really understand, and she's 8 years sober now and the best mama I know, but I really understand the neurological and the fact that this has more to do with our DNA than people understand. And so working on the opioid crisis in the General Assembly has been something that's been very near and dear to my heart.
And so now this is getting more and more widespread support. How much pushback have you gotten with this, if it, like at all? I would imagine that most people would be on board with something like this.
Most people are on board. We did have a few senators and representatives over the past 2 years, and they're still against it. They still feel that it's a privacy concern, yet they've never once tried to get rid of electronic medical records. And so to me, that's just a red herring. This is an electronic medical record. Your physician, your pharmacist are the only ones that get to see this information. And but it really is a tool that your physician needs to see what your history is before writing that prescription. We allow them to see our x-rays from another doctor. We allow them to see our blood work, but but for some reason, we've been hesitant about not allowing our physicians to see our past prescriptions.
So
and it just doesn't make any sense.
I think I didn't realize that. I thought when your medical records were shared with different doctors and hospitals, that not only could they see, conditions, chronic diseases, issues you may have, that they would also see your prescription record. Because I know, you fill out on that line, have you ever taken any prescriptions? What prescriptions are you currently on? So that information is, if I were to switch doctors, is not being shared.
So it's in there if you are in the same health system. So right now, some states have a medical health system that encompasses everything across it. Missouri hasn't gotten to that point yet. And so in Missouri, you have like say your Barnes Jewish Hospital, and everyone attached to their medical system would have that information. But if you are seeing a doctor in St. Louis and you move down to the Boot Heel and you start seeing another physician, unless they, get all of those records sent down to them, they're not going to have that. And in the case of folks who are taking too many opioids, if you go to an emergency room, if your doctor's at Barnes Jewish Hospital, but you go to an emergency room in, say, Chesterfield that's not connected to that hospital, and say you've hurt your back, that emergency room doctor wouldn't be able to immediately see your prescriptions. They would just write you what they think that you need. They wouldn't know if you had gotten a script yesterday from your doctor because we don't have that statewide system. And so that's why it's been so important for our pharmacists. So every time one of them is filled, it just automatically hits this database that all of our doctors, once they've gotten credentialed, can see, and they're only allowed to see their patient. Once again, like they can't look up their next door neighbors. That would be a HIPAA violation. They're only allowed to see their patient. And when you make an appointment with a doctor, you're giving them permission to have your medical information.
And so I know there's this idea of doctor shopping where people who do get hooked are trying to find physicians that will prescribe opioids for them, and maybe they can make multiple doctors' visits. This is pretty successful at making sure that doesn't happen, right?
It is. It's very successful in that. And where I live, I'm right on the border of, I'm within an hour of Tennessee, Arkansas, Kentucky, Illinois. And so we had all of these states that had already had this. And so we had a lot of folks coming over to the Boot Heel to get prescriptions. What it is best known for, and what it is really the most helpful with, is for a doctor to be able, before you get to your appointment, whether it's, the RN that they have assigned to it or whatever, they look up and have laying in the file, okay, this person has been on this medication for 2 years, or this person just got this prescription written last week. So while you're in that doctor's office, the doctor can see your history, and your doctor can say, look, honestly, I think what we have is we have a problem where your body has gotten addicted to this medication, and we need to start weaning you off, and we need to start getting you into whether it's physical therapy, chiropractic care, or maybe a different type of medicine to help free you from what your system has now started doing, and that's not making its own endorphins any longer because you've been putting endorphins in your body from these drugs.
What about the pharmaceutical companies themselves, the manufacturers of the opioids? Are they being held more accountable now with being transparent and honest with just how addicting these medicines are?
They really are. Since the Purdue trials, they really are. And which in 10 years, I never had one pharmaceutical company work against me. They were all helping, because in the past decade, they have known this is a problem. Mm-hmm. This is attaching to some people different than it's attaching to others.
And I will just say, like, just you mentioned it was personal for you. A friend of mine, this person had a history of addiction, and this person also had to have surgery and told the doctor about the history of addiction. An opioid was prescribed, and it set that off again, and it made me so angry. I was so angry for my friend.
Yes. I mean, that's the thing is our doctors have to be cognizant of that because, you know, my daughter had a C-section. She went through 12 hours of awful trying to deliver my grandbaby. And she kept saying, don't give me that. And so they finally knocked her out and gave her, you know, did the C-section. And then when she went home, they sent her home with, I don't know, it was like 800 milligrams of ibuprofen or something, but she refused it and was in immense pain. But she's like, Mama, I cannot have that feeling again in my body. I know that I cannot. And I mean, 13 years of meth, shooting up, bath salt, heroin, you name it. And she doesn't want to go down that road again. But our physicians have to be mindful that some people cannot handle it. And if they're telling you they've got a history of this, or if you see they've got a history of this, figure something else out. There were plenty of things we did before these things hit the market.
Senator, you mentioned that you live in proximity to a lot of other states who have done programs like this already. Where does Missouri rank, or how does it compare to other states as far as resources for people who have addiction already?
You know, I think, I'm not sure on that statistic, but I believe last week I was reading that we were like 17th in the nation on the worst of the opioid crisis. And so getting more available recovery and treatment locations is definitely something that's been on my list that I've been working on, because wherever we rank, we don't have enough. I mean, I've had so many parents, siblings call me and say, hey, this is going on or that's going on. How can I get them help? And it's difficult, you know, it's just, we don't have enough facilities. We're getting better with our 988 crisis line. We're getting better. But if you're not in crisis, to get a mental health appointment, to get a therapy appointment, sometimes it's 2 months out in Missouri.
Do you have an idea of, and I know you said you want to get to this, do you have an idea of how much more needs to be done in this state?
We need to be able that in every location that you can do a walk-in clinic. And that is what has been the most successful in some of these other states that I've looked at. But if you're having a problem, or you're ready to get clean, because this is something that, again, when you get ready for it, like it's not all, you're not always going to feel that way. You're going to go use. And so, because it absolutely throws you into flu-like symptoms, 10 times flu-like symptoms, when this stuff is coming out of your body. And so you use, not to get high, you use to keep from being that sick. And so when somebody wants to get clean, if they can walk in a clinic, get hooked up with the right services, placed into a place that's going to be able to help them, and whether that's medication to help them get through, you know, the first few months of it, or whatever, and everybody is different. That's what we need. We need walk-in access. And I know Springfield has really done a good job with a walk-in clinic, and I'm hoping that Burrell Healthcare, I believe it is, and I'm hoping that model really gets replicated across the state.
Senator Rader, before we let you go, do you guys have any numbers or an idea of the impact that the COVID shutdowns and restrictions and that isolation had on the opioid crisis in the state of Missouri?
I don't have the actual information for the state of Missouri, but in all of the research that I've read so far, is just nationally, it's been pretty horrific. And so some places 30% higher. And I can't imagine Missouri being better than the national average because we are so much worse on this right now. But again, it goes back to if folks can't get therapy appointments to take care of their mental health, that's like the most basic, right? You know, when you reach out for help and you're on a 2-month wait list, that's too much.
Senator Holly Thompson Raider, we appreciate your time. Thank you for giving us these moments today.
No, I appreciate y'all covering this and talking about this. You know, the one thing that we must do is remove the stigma so people will reach out for help. And the only way to do that is for people like y'all talking about it and covering it. It's so normal, but people still feel so embarrassed. But it's so normal.
Absolutely. And successful, smart, every, the socioeconomic level, every background, every religion, every culture, it happens. It affects us. And there should be no shame whatsoever. If you had a broken leg, you would get it fixed. If you're dealing with an opioid crisis, or you're feeling that, you're addicted or something's not right, reach out for help.
Yes, absolutely. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Senator. That is Senator Holly Thompson Raider, District 27, here in the state of Missouri. When we come back, and by the way, what you say is true of just all mental illness in general. And I think we're getting better at it. People are more open about talking about their own mental illness and having to go get therapy. And 20 years ago, you wouldn't. You keep that stuff to yourself. It's good that you can now.
Yes. And then those drugs are so powerful that, again, it's not a sign of weakness on your part. I mean, like you said, if you hurt your leg, you get help. So 988 is the crisis number.
Yep.
If you're struggling with mental illness, addiction, whatever it may be.
Amy and Chris on KMOX.
Download Upside and start getting cash back wherever you roll. It's like having your own hype man. Get an average of 17% cash back at restaurants.
Oh, it's dinner time.
Average of 13% on groceries.
Get those groceries.
10 cents per gallon average cash back on gas.
It's go time.
Plus, cash back at participating convenience stores too.
Stacks on stacks.
Users can earn hundreds of dollars a year, 3 times more than other apps.
Upside, show me that money.
All right, we get it. It's easy. Just sign up for the free Upside app and start getting cash back for doing you. Download the free Upside app and use promo code DOYOU for an extra $10 cash back on your first purchase of $10 or more. That's promo code DOYOU for an extra $10 on the free Upside app. Get cash back for doing you with the free app from Upside.
Hey, KMOX listeners, Roger Wigginton here, Don Rogers Limited, 6727 West Main in Belleville. We are starting our gigantic ladies winter clearance. It's going to be on all through the month of January. Everything is going to be 50 to 75% off the regular price. One of the biggest sales we've ever had. We've got so much spring coming in. I've got to move this. This includes our ladies' sweaters, blouses, tops, jackets, pants, dresses. We still have a great selection. Winter just started. A lot of cold weather ahead of us. What a great opportunity to get some wonderful looking ladies apparel and save money at the same time. This sale is going to be on all through January. So don't delay. Get in before the good sizes are taken. Don't forget, we're open Monday through Saturday, 9:30 to 4. Park at the door. Walk in, get waited on. You're going to love the selection. You're going to love the prices. And as always, thank you so very much for listening to our commercial.
I hate winter, but as a kid, I used to love it snowing. And my dog, when it snows, he's just like me being a little Hoosier. When it snows, we wake up and we would just run outside. We didn't care what we had on and just run around and build snowmen and roll around in the snow. He does the exact same thing. He can't build snowmen. He wants to do snow angels. But if you can picture this, he's a big German Shepherd, all right? He's good size. But he's got little legs and little arms. He doesn't know he's a dog, but he wants to make snow angels, so he tries his best. And he just ends up just rolling around in circles for the longest time. You got to love it. But that being said, keep the calls coming. One easy number, Missouri and Illinois. It is 314-293-2600. That's Bart Inman, 314-293-2600, and BartInman.com. That is a B for Bart. Otherwise, Bart with a B, Inman with an I.com.
Ask yourself, what am I doing to guarantee I will have adequate inflation-hedged income that I may never outlive? Why not make sure your future income is growing and may last as long as you do? Call for your complimentary retirement and income book at 844-513-SAFE. That's 844-513-7233. And also join me, Ben Coons, for the Retirement and Income Radio Show, heard here every Saturday at 3 p.m. on KMOX Radio.
For all your communication needs, check out the Center for Hearing and Speech. Call today, 314-968-4710 or chsstl.org.
Amy Marks scores.
This is my show, my microphone.
On the show.
Did you see that thing? I can't believe it. Something is obviously wrong.
This is a joke, right?
Oh my God. Are you freaking kidding me? No way.
You gotta be kidding me. Don't feel bad. There's no way you could have known that.
Now, did you see this with Chris and Amy on the show?
Amy, bad news, or maybe good news. I don't know. Depends on how you look at it. The M&M spokes candies are gone. They're
All
gone
of
now.
them?
Yeah.
Okay, wait. Because just last week, or at least I heard about it last week, they made all ladies. They had all lady M&Ms on the...
No. There was an uproar over the green M&M.
Yes, but then they had all
Because
ladies.
she went from wearing sexy boots to tennis shoes because they decided to not sexify her up so much. I don't know, but
Yeah.
apparently this was obscene to people.
No.
People objected to it
Okay, yes, but they also objected.
because M&M's went woke.
Yes,
Amy.
This month, M&M's, proudly part of Mars, will release its first ever packs spotlighting dynamic female M&M characters.
no.
The all-female
Oh,
packs
no.
celebrate women everywhere who are flipping the status quo.
Oh my God, I should be outraged right now.
Yeah, the
What
limited...
an outrage. How can I eat M&Ms now? Anyway, they're
Listen.
gone. They're gone because
What?
because M&M's went woke.
Okay.
And we need to be outraged about the woke M&Ms.
I
like
have
it's
to
not
say-
the stupidest damn thing on earth.
I have to
anyway,
say, I just have to say, as a woman,
yeah.
I have felt oppressed. And I know women's suffrage,
Yeah.
whatever, first female vice president, whatever. But the fact that there weren't more female M&Ms, that's really bothered me.
Well, now you should be bothered that there were more female M&Ms because that's somehow offensive. I don't figure it. I don't know.
I think M&M's is maybe taking themselves a little too seriously.
I think maybe we should not give a crap.
Yeah,
I
but
think we should not care what M&M's does with their spokes candies because
Yeah.
now we have to get rid of all of them because that's what's happened.
I have to be honest.
They've released a statement
When did they release this statement?
today.
So I didn't see this.
Here's the statement. America, let's talk. In the last year, we've made some changes to our beloved spokes candies. We weren't sure if anyone would even notice, and we definitely didn't think it would break the internet.
Okay.
But now we get it. Even a candy's shoes can be polarizing, which was the last thing M&M's wanted since we're all about bringing people together. Therefore, we have decided to take an indefinite pause from spokes candies.
Yeah.
In their place, we are proud to introduce a spokesperson America can agree on, the beloved Maya Rudolph. We are confident Miss Rudolph will champion the power of fun to create a world where
Okay.
everyone feels they belong.
M&M's, you're a candy. Nobody cares. And I know we shouldn't be upset.
What do you mean? Tucker spent all damn week on
You're
it.
right. I guess they do care, but what I guess the fact that it even got to the point that M&M's feels like they're making social change or a big difference, that would be...
No. Here's what M&M's
You want
is
to talk
doing.
about women's rights? You know what we're going to do? We're going to make all female M&M candies. Nobody cares. And the women who really are fighting for women's rights,
No,
they don't care
Here's what's
about
happening.
M&Ms.
No, that's not what it is. What it is M&M's is saying you people are so stupid with your phony outrage. Okay, fine. We're doing away with all the candies. Are you happy now? That's what they're saying.
But I agree with them.
The outrage over a stupid green candy.
I
What
agree.
shoes she's wearing is so stupid.
I agree with
If you're-
that.
if
but I
you're
agree.
mad about
I think
that, you're so
M&M's is stupid.
What? They're responding to your stupidity.
I'm I'm responding to both stupidities.
I don't think they're that stupid. You go, M&Ms. You go, girl.
M&Ms can
Hey, we got a
package it.
guest coming up. Stephen Portnoy, CBS. He's next on the show.
I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. When you call America's largest injury firm, you get the backing of a national firm, along with a dedicated team from your community, handpicked by us. Think of it as the best of both worlds.
Visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
For all the women listening right now, I want you to picture a financial advisor. What do you see? Now, you and your husband, you're meeting with said advisor. Who's he talking to? Him. That's the problem. Deanna Orff of the All Financial Group has seen this failure in the financial industry for years, and she's doing something about it. Join Deanna Wednesday, January 25th for an exclusive women's event called Women in Wealth. It's time to talk about your 401k, your business, and your concerns about retirement in a setting where you're heard and you don't feel uncomfortable asking questions. 92% of women say they want to know more about financial planning, and this could be a great first step. This Women in Wealth event that takes place on January 25th is free, but you do need to RSVP. Call 636-230-8824 or go to yourmoneymattersstl.com. Investment advisory services offered through Brookstone Wealth Advisors, LLC, a registered investment advisor. BWA and All Financial Group, LLC are separate companies.
KMOX, KEZK HD2, K254CR, St. Louis.
The legendary voice of St. Louis, KMOX. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
When do you need to see an ophthalmologist? Hi, this is Charlie Brennan. Now, that's a good question. If your vision is blurry, you notice dark spots in the middle of your field of vision, you're seeing flashes or new floaters, if you have difficulty seeing distances, if there's a sharp pain in one eye along with vision changes, or if you have trouble driving because of glare, these are all good reasons to make your appointment with the doctors at Ophthalmology Associates, 314-966-5000 and youridoc.com. And if your eyes are itchy and scratchy, that might be more than allergies. The doctors, Greg Birdie, Ranj Malhotra, Andrew Royer, and Robert Brusati are also leaders in dry eye diagnosis and treatment. I've been a patient of theirs for about 25 years. In Sullivan, St. Peter's, and their main headquarters, 270 in Manchester, 314-966-5000 and youridoc.com.
Join Mark Patrick Seminars. Lose the weight and stop smoking. Only $49.99. Seminars Wednesday, February 1st at the Holiday Inn Express Suite St. Louis Airport in St. Louis. And Thursday, February 2nd at the 4 Points by Sheraton St. Louis Fairview Heights in Fairview Heights. Weight loss seminar 5:30 p.m. Stop smoking seminar 8 p.m. Sign up at markpatrickseminars.com.
With each breath, allergens, germs, and viruses get trapped in your nose. Now there's a simple, easy, and effective way to clean your nose and protect your health. It's called Navage. Navage. Available at Navage.com. Mid-America's most trusted source for news. KMOX.
At 11 o'clock, we've got clouds and 39 degrees downtown at the Arch. I'm Michael Calhoun. Our top story this hour. The sheriff in Los Angeles County, California, says investigators believe the gunman in Saturday night's mass shooting tried to attack another location.
Sheriff Robert Luna says about 20 to 30 minutes after the gunman killed 10 people and wounded others at the Star Ballroom Dance Studio in Monterey Park, he walked into the Lai Ballroom in the nearby city of Alhambra.
He was disarmed by two community members who I consider to be heroes because they saved lives. This could have been much worse.
People at the scene say the gunman fled in a white van. That's the same van police say 72-year-old Hu Can Tran shot and killed himself in the next day after police 22 miles away in Torrance closed in on him. I'm Donna Warder.
Police in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, are investigating a mass shooting that left 12 people hurt on Sunday morning at a bar and lounge. Police say it was a targeted attack. WAFB TV reporter Miranda Thomas heard from Baton Rouge Police Chief Murphy Paul.
We're told police are reviewing surveillance footage from inside the club to try and catch their suspect. Chief Murphy Paul making a plea to the community.
There's someone who knows something. Do the right thing. You can save the next incident because it's obviously that this person has total disregard for life.
We're told the owner of the club is cooperating with police who are still being tight-lipped about what led up to this targeted shooting and why.
Police say 9 of the 12 people shot have non-life-threatening injuries, while 3 are in critical condition. Detectives are analyzing surveillance video and say they believe it was a single shooter. A new study finds mindfulness exercises can treat anxiety just as well as drugs.
Research in the journal JAMA Psychiatry shows people who practiced 8 weeks of mindfulness-based interventions like breathing exercises experienced a decrease in anxiety that matched outcomes from the prescribed medication escitalopram or Lexapro. More than 200 participants in both medication and mindfulness groups dropped from moderate levels of anxiety to mild. All began the study with similar baseline scores. Deborah Rodriguez, CBS News.
Elon Musk has taken the stand again to defend a tweet he made that claimed he had financing to take Tesla private in a deal that never happened. The KMOX business desk, more tech cuts.
Another tech company announcing layoffs. Spotify is planning to cut 6% of employees, joining a slew of firms from Amazon to Facebook who have reduced their workforces. Courtney Donahoe, Bloomberg Radio.
And the Dow from Stifel is up 306 points to 33,682. We've got some debris on 270 east at 367. The center lane is closed. Also 270 south at 6440 in the right lane. Stalled vehicle 270 west at Newhalls Ferry on the right shoulder. 44 west at 7th on the left shoulder. And 370 west at 141 on the right shoulder.
This afternoon, periods of clouds and sun, high of 44 degrees. And for tonight, partly to mostly cloudy, low 30. Tomorrow, mainly cloudy, high 44. Snow times tomorrow night into Wednesday, accumulating 3 to 6 inches for the area. For AccuWeather, a meteorologist Matt Benz on the Voice of St. Louis, KMOX.
It's a partly cloudy sky, 38 in Florissant, 38 in St. Peters, and 39 degrees. Downtown at the Arch feels like 34. I'm Michael Calhoun, KMOX News.
Amy Marchkors and Chris Ranji on KMOX. Good morning to you. We talked earlier about even more classified documents found on Joe Biden's property in Wilmington, Delaware. And to discuss the findings and the ongoing investigation, CBS White House correspondent Stephen Portnoy joins us this morning on the show. Thank you for being with us today, Stephen. How are you?
Hey, it's good to be with you.
All right, so we learn about more and more documents. I think the first instinct for a lot of us is, okay, well, how many more are we going to find, and when is this going to end?
Well, it's a good question because come Saturday, we learned of the 5th finding of classified documents, unsecured, in non-governmental locations. The first was in November at the Penn Biden Center, and then 4 more times. Classified documents have been recovered at Joe Biden's home in Wilmington, Delaware. The president, we're told, essentially invited the FBI to come and do a full search of all the living spaces in his home at Wilmington. And he spent the weekend in Rehoboth Beach, Delaware, so that the FBI on Friday could spend 13 hours digging through all of his property. And they pulled out, we're told, 6 items that are within the scope of the investigation, some of them dating back to Joe Biden's time as a senator, papers with classified markings and surrounding materials, and also handwritten notes that date to Joe Biden's time as vice president. And this could be interesting because it's not just the classified markings that might play into this. If you have access to classified information and you write that information down, that material too is classified and could be damaging to national security if it were to become public. So these are all things that the Justice Department's now investigating, and sources tell us that investigators may be interested in seeking searches of other locations tied to the president, perhaps his other residence in Rehoboth Beach, which we're told, we had been told by the president's legal counsel had already been searched. Of course, that was the case of the Wilmington residence, and then the FBI went in and found even more.
And also you mentioned that some of these documents dated back to his time in the Senate. Well, he was in the Senate from 1973 until 2009. Do we have any idea of when those classified documents dated from? You know, if it was early on, if it was much later? And also, what is a senator's clearance when it comes to classified document? I imagine not as great as the president's or vice president's.
So the answer to your first question is no. We don't know the exact time frame. That has not been publicly disclosed. When it comes to a senator's access to classified information, look, if you are an elected official, so let me step even further back. It's important for people to understand what it is we're talking about. We're talking about government documents that exist within the executive branch, right? An agency, whether it's the State Department or the CIA or the Defense Department. Those agencies produce documents, and those documents are often provided to members of Congress for their constitutional oversight responsibilities. If a bureaucrat, someone who works at those agencies, says that the information on this piece of paper is so sensitive and so potentially damaging to national security that we're going to put a classified stamp on it. We're going to classify it as confidential, secret, top secret, or beyond that. That material can still be reviewed by a senator who is not a bureaucrat, but who has been empowered by the people of their state to serve in Washington. They can review those materials in a classified, secure setting known as a SCIF, a secret compartmentalized information facility on Capitol Hill. Now, I don't know what the practices or protocols were in the 1970s when it comes to access to classified material, or even in the early 1980s or beyond. But as you talk to current senators who serve in 2023, what they say is it would be unheard of for a senator to remove classified material from a SCIF, never mind take it home with them, never mind take it home with them on the train from Washington to Wilmington, which is how Joe Biden got to and from D.C. in his 36 years in the Senate. So there's a lot we don't know. There are a lot of questions that Democrats as well as Republicans are asking. And it really does get to this notion that, perhaps Joe Biden was not as careful as he otherwise should have been. But the line from the White House and from the president's personal lawyers all along has been to say that they're cooperating, that they're inviting in investigators, that they're trying to distinguish themselves from the way the former president handled his hoarding of classified materials, which is to say, number one, it's mine. Number two, it's all been given up. Number three, none of it's classified because I declassified it anyway. And the Biden White House is trying to say that they're handling this differently. But at the end of the day, what we are talking about is material that the government believes should not be outside of secure government facilities, that in fact are outside of government secure facilities. And so far we just keep hearing about more of these documents at the home of the sitting president.
Just heard, as you mentioned, Senator Dick Durbin from Illinois saying that Biden has lost the moral high ground on this issue when he was indignant about what Trump did when we first found out about the Mar-a-Lago documents months ago, that now he can't claim to have that anymore. So can we still make a meaningful distinction between the two things, or does it even matter that we're doing it?
Yeah, I think it's legally insignificant except to say that investigators might see the way that the former president, Donald Trump, handled the matter as an aggravating circumstance that would tend to so anger prosecutors that they could then go into a potential legal situation and say, here are examples of obstruction. Here are examples of Donald Trump trying to stonewall our investigation. And that's different. And that might be legally significant from a prosecutorial discretion and even ultimately, a final judgment standpoint if it were ever to be put to a jury. But from a political standpoint, and that's where I think Dick Durbin has a point, it's difficult. Joe Biden in September was on 60 Minutes. He was asked about the idea that classified materials were held by the former president. And he said, how could anyone be so irresponsible? Well, that's a question that someone could ask Joe Biden, because now we know that on 5 separate occasions, his attorneys, the White House counsel, and now the FBI have been pulling out classified documents from his personal collection. How could anyone be so irresponsible?
And you mentioned that the Biden administration and his personal attorneys have said, we're cooperating. We are, we returned the documents. We called the National Archives. And my first thought was, okay, but do we believe them? Because the timeline doesn't look great. These first documents were discovered back in November 4th, before the crucial midterm elections. There seems to be zero transparency from the Biden administration regarding exactly how they decided to proceed with, searching Biden's office and his home and then calling the National Archives. So do we trust their timeline? It was such a long wait between the discovery and public knowledge.
Well, look, it's a couple points, right? When on November 2nd, when the personal lawyer for the president, who now it seems is the first assistant attorney general of Massachusetts, which is its own separate question, how it is that gentleman, Pat Moore, came upon the classified materials, he didn't call the National Archives, he called the White House counsel's office. Then the White House counsel's office contacted the National Archives, and the National Archives contacted the Justice Department and opened a review. And, at a certain point on December 20th, additional documents were found at the president's Wilmington home. Then on January 11th, additional documents were found at the president's Wilmington home. January 12th, additional documents were found at the president's Wilmington home. January 20th, the FBI finds additional documents at the president's Wilmington home. Joe Biden has insisted that there's no there, that he has been fully cooperative, that in the end, we will all find out that these were inadvertent mistakes, and that the current president, former vice president, former senator, had no corrupt intent in keeping these government secrets at his home or at his think tank office. But this poses a political liability, and you're absolutely right to note that the Biden White House kept this a top secret matter. That is, and I use that phrase colloquially, They intended for no one to know about this for as long as they possibly could, until my colleagues at CBS News began their inquiry. When we first heard that there was a review underway at the Justice Department, and then the disclosures came, but over the span of the last 2 weeks, we've learned more and more and more and more about it. And right now, the question is, will investigators search any other location? What is the level of classification of these materials in question? Was there any potential national security harm? And that's still sort of an abstract notion that's difficult to pin down. And one other thing, when we learned on Saturday night as the nation was watching the NFL football playoffs that the FBI had searched the home of the sitting president and spent 13 hours there, the coordinated disclosure from the White House and the president's personal law team did not mention the FBI. It mentioned their supervising agency, the Justice Department, and didn't speak to the fact that it was FBI agents who were conducting the search. And this is one more example of a communication strategy that is clearly meant to, I think, shield the president from some political embarrassment.
There was an expectation that we'd find out soon, once the new year happened, whether or not he was going to run for president again. How will this affect that?
I'm not sure. Look, the last reporting is that we expect sometime after the State of the Union, which is February 7th, that President Biden will announce his intent to run for re-election. The word from the White House all the while has been that that's the president's intention, but a formal announcement sort of takes it to the next level. It matters from sort of not just a political standpoint, but also sort of a campaign fundraising legal standpoint. And it would be in keeping for such an announcement to be made sometime in the spring, so sometime in the late winter would move it up. But remember, Donald Trump has already announced his intent to run for president in 2024. And the big news over the weekend, when it comes to sort of the organizing of the chairs, was the music. There was the revolving door, or the musical chair, whatever you want to call it, of the chief of staff, Ron Klain, announcing after 2 years that he is departing, which is fully in keeping with the historical practice. 2 years is a long run for a chief of staff. The president has made it clear that he intends to ask Jeff Zients, the former COVID czar who ran the COVID response for the president the first year and a half, to run all of the operations of his White House as his most senior aide, the chief of staff to the president. So we expect that change will happen right after the State of the Union on February 7th. And it'll be reflective of Joe Biden's effort to see to it that a man who's known for moving the levers of government to get things done, and Zients certainly is, that he's going to be the man responsible for implementing the infrastructure law. Is a possibility that we'll be heading into a recession as a country. He's going to be manning the store on behalf of the president as the political team focuses on the reelect.
There's more and more narrative coming out that there are many Democrats who would prefer Joe Biden not run again for a variety of reasons, his age obviously being one of them. But is there a chance that Joe Biden says, hey, I had my 4 years, I was the bridge that I said I would be, and announced that he's not going to run again? And I mean, perhaps even be lionized in the process because he's stepping back, letting someone else step in. And also, it's quite a contrast to the previous administration.
Anything is possible in politics, but there's no sign of that.
Stephen Portnoy, we appreciate your time again today. Thank you for being with us.
You bet.
CBS White House correspondent Stephen Portnoy joining us. We talk to him fairly often, especially when things like this happen.
Mm-hmm.
And there's been way too many of these things happening. Way too much reason to talk to Stephen.
Don't you think the Joe Biden legacy looks different if he announces that he's not going to run again versus if he does?
It's an interesting idea.
I mean, think of him 6 years down the road.
Yeah. No, I don't know what that looks like. It might look very similar to now. That's a good question. I think that you probably would have a lot of people that go, that is an honorable thing to do.
And listen,
to step back and let a younger person take over and see what happens.
Joe Biden, if you want to look at pros, yes, some major legislation was passed. I see a lot of his failings, but what I do see is an opportunity for him not to run again for the betterment of the party, for the benefit of the party, which is a complete opposite of what we saw with the previous administration, who would watch the party burn so long as he got to keep power. As he even said, he's threatened. There were rumors that Donald Trump was threatening to run as an independent, which he knows would destroy the GOP voting bloc. So there is a difference there. And I'm no fan of Joe Biden, but I do wonder, would people around him have the sway to say, you know what, don't run again? It's better for the party.
There are, you can find betting odds on this. I got to look them up. I don't know what the odds are and whether or not Joe Biden's going to run again. I'm going to look that up during the break because I'm very curious to know what they are. This is the kind of thing you can bet on, by the way. You can bet on elections, which is really, really something, and you can do it legally now. Amy Marks Kors and Chris Ranji, you are listening to KMOX.
For everything online, it's Odyssey.com. Download the Odyssey app and listen to KMOX for all the news, sports, talk, and podcasts that move you. Odyssey, that's AUDACY.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter.com/radio.
Men, if you're struggling with erectile dysfunction or PE and frustrated taking pills that don't work, Paramount Men's Medical Center offers breakthrough medical treatments that effectively treat your problem. 98% of patients experience immediate results during their first office visit. And for a limited time, your initial consultation and first treatment are completely free. Listen to a specialist in men's health.
I'm Dr. Brown. The physicians at Paramount Men's Medical Center offer the most advanced treatments that eliminate ED and PE. Now men are lasting 30, 60, 90 minutes or longer, regardless of age or medical history.
Guys, to eliminate your frustration in the bedroom, call Paramount Men's Medical Center now to take advantage of this exclusive limited-time offer. Your initial consultation and first treatment are totally free, and you'll see instant results right in the office. Call now, 314-720-8081. 314-720-8081. That's 314-720-8081.
I'm Brian Westbrook with Coalition Life. Over the past decade, Coalition Life has served thousands of women in crisis pregnancies, helping to save the lives of the children that they carry. Help us build a better community while also reducing or completely eliminating your Missouri taxes with a 70% tax credit. A $1,000 donation today to help these women could cost you as little as $141 out of pocket. Learn more at coalitionlife.com, coalitionlife.com. Thank you.
What really matters to you? At Archwell Health, that's what matters to us. When Linda told her doctor about the trip her family planned for her 70th birthday, our team worked together to improve her mobility. Then there's Shirley, who wanted to lose a little weight. She and her doctor chose an Archwell Health exercise class, and her dietitian also had a few ideas. We're here to help you live your life to the fullest because you are more than a patient. Join today at archwellhealth.com/livewell.
Is your bank, brokerage, or your insurance company telling you to buy an annuity? They may have limited access to the best rates available. You need solutions, not someone pitching you a specific product. Call for your complimentary retirement and income book at 844-513-SAFE. That's 844-513-7233. And also join me, Ben Coons, for the Retirement and Income Radio Show, heard here every Saturday at 3 p.m. on KMOX Radio.
We go where you go. 1120 AM, 98.7 FM, KMOX.com.
Amy Marks, Kors, and Chris Ranji on KMOX today till 1 o'clock. Dave Glover comes in then. We hang out with the Dave Glover Show for that 1 o'clock hour. Coming up, we'll talk to sports fella Matt Pauley, the Powder Keg. He'll be with us at 11:30. At 12:30, and I'm really excited about this one, we will be talking to the producer and the host of the Bone Valley podcast. And as you all know, if you've been listening to Amy and I for any period of time, you know that we are both very worried about being wrongfully convicted of a crime and going to prison for it.
Awful. The worst fear.
Well, he's an author. Gilbert King is the podcast host. He had written a book prior to this, and he has covered this story of a murder from the 80s, and a guy has been in prison for killing his wife in the 80s. Meanwhile, somebody else has confessed to the murder multiple times, described how he did it, everything that happened, and the state of Florida says, nope. Nope, sorry. So this guy has been in prison for close to 40 years now, and the amount of people, there's a former judge who has put himself behind this case and has left the bench so he can represent him. He believes in it that much. It's just an unbelievable story that people believe in. He's incarcerated, and people in the jail he's in don't even think he did it. So it's an unbelievable story, and Gilbert King is going to join us at 12:30. I'm looking forward to it.
It's one of those that captivates you, and you're emotionally invested in the same way that kind of the original series, the NPR Serial with Adnan Syed, and how that became the #1 podcast in the country for years when it first came out that year, I should say. And it's so captivating. That's how this story is.
I would highly recommend. It's on the Odyssey app, so you can search Bone Valley on the Odyssey app and download it, first of all, the app, so that you can get this podcast. And then, of course, you can go back and listen to our podcast of our show if you missed anything at all. And you can listen to us live, again, all on the Odyssey app. We welcome your text messages at 314-436-7900. We had a bunch of people who have weighed in on weddings.
Oh,
remember we talked about the wedding? Your brother got married yesterday.
Joe and Sarah.
Yeah. And so I said that a wedding should never last more than 10 minutes. The ceremony should never last more than, there's no good reason for it.
And in case people missed it, my brother's ceremony was probably 6 minutes.
Perfect.
I didn't have a watch. It was 6 minutes, maybe 4.
This text message from a 618 says, as a Catholic, I like long weddings. Excitement builds for the party ahead. People watching, getting a meaningful commentary on the couple's relationship in the sermon. Got to earn the party. Oh, hell no. No, sorry. I don't earn parties. You go to them.
Don't
right?
you think-
what do I do to earn a party?
Don't you think the ceremony should reflect the couple? What do the couple want? Right?
Well, but you have guests.
Sure.
I know it's your thing.
Yeah.
But you can't just do whatever you want. You have guests. You're entertaining people too.
Well, I
let
would
me
have been
say
very
this.
entertaining. I said she should have walked down the aisle too more than a woman, and someone should have read something in Klingon. But
because those are both terrible
Okay,
suggestions. I would guess, and this is just an estimation, but
Sure.
I bet if we did a poll, you know what? In fact, we'll do a Twitter poll.
let's do a Twitter poll.
At the show KMOX.
Okay.
We're going to have this poll up in a moment. I would guess, if you have 200 people at your wedding or 100 people or whatever it is, I would guess that 90% of people there don't want a long ceremony.
Yeah.
The people who do want it and think you have to earn the party appreciate the text, but no.
But didn't you earn the
I
party
think-
because you
I
had to
think-
buy, you had to get ready. It's your whole day. You had to buy a gift. Those are expensive. You might have had to do a wedding shower, bachelor party.
Mhm.
If you're in the wedding, oh my goodness, it's an expensive ordeal. Weddings are expensive for everyone involved.
The only thing people really care about is the party afterwards.
Mhm.
So just get to it, man.
They
and
got
it's
to
an
the
all-day
party.
affair. Think about it like that.
Mhm.
If your wedding starts at like 3:00, I mean, your people have committed their day from 3 until 11 at night.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a long time already. So why make the ceremony?
That's why it was music, disco lights, and taco Buddha.
Another one says weddings should take longer so the attendees experience a temporary suffering. A temporary suffering to symbolize the greater suffering all us married folk experience on a daily basis. Wow. Come on, it can't be that bad.
Well, you're
Maybe
not
it is.
married.
Hey, you got that right. Amy and Chris on the show.
When winter weather hits St. Louis, KMOX is committed to keeping you and your family safe.
Let's begin our coverage with Roger Brand.
The road conditions around the state, they are covered.
With up-to-the-minute forecasts.
Let's take you to the Storm Center and AccuWeather's Dean DeVore.
We're watching another area of snow and ice.
And we talk to those who know the conditions.
Dave Rohn is joining us right now. He is with St. Louis County Highway Department.
Winter weather. We've got it covered. Fast and live. From the dependable voice of St. Louis, KMOX.
Hi, it's Debbie Monterey. And when I make a recommendation, you can be sure that I've done my homework and I only promote the best. So when it comes to real estate, I only recommend one realtor, and that is Gloria Liu with Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. I've been recommending Gloria for years now. I've met her clients, I've seen her systems, and she's the only agent I would trust to sell my home. Gloria Liu's proven track record for selling hundreds of homes this year alone should give you the confidence that she will help you sell for the most money, or the fact that Gloria already has the buyers. Buyers looking to buy right now. That's why Gloria will actually guarantee in writing to sell your home at your price and your time frame, or she'll buy it herself. Call Gloria Liu today at 314-325-6888, 314-325-6888, or you can find her online at gloriahasthebuyers.com. Conditions apply. Gloria and seller must agree on price and possession date.
At 11:30, it's partly cloudy and 40 degrees downtown at the Arch, but snow is making a comeback. AccuWeather's Matt Benz.
Last time we saw, of course, snow was way back in, that was before Christmas. But we are looking at this storm that is going to develop here today across Texas. It's going to move up through Louisiana later on tonight. Then it gradually moves up towards the Ohio River Valley, heading into tomorrow night. That puts us squarely on the northern edge of the storm. So we are looking at snow overspreading the St. Louis metro.
More in the forecast coming up. A political newcomer who lost his bid for the New Mexico State House and is accused of orchestrating a series of drive-by shootings at the homes of Democratic officials was scheduled to appear in court today for a detention hearing. Drive less, save money.
Working from home is saving commuters around the world 72 minutes a day, time they're splitting between their jobs, leisure, and caregiving. That's according to a study from the National Bureau of Economic Research. Courtney Donahoe, Bloomberg Radio.
We've got some debris on 270 East at 367 in the left lane. There's a crash on 70 East at the Missouri River. It's got the two right lanes closed. We've also got a crash in the two left lanes of Illinois 15 East at 255. And the forecast from meteorologist Matt Benz, periods of clouds and sun today with the high of 44. Tonight, the low 30. For tomorrow, the high 44. But the snow returns tomorrow night. Will continue through Wednesday morning, accumulating 3 to 6 inches and causing widespread travel disruptions. It's partly cloudy and 40 degrees at the moment downtown at the Arch. I'm Michael Calhoun, KMOX News.
Broadcasting from the Underline Three Lawyers, GetJim.com studios.
KMOX.
Folks, it's time to put your car payments on ice. That's right. Make no car payments until April when you upgrade this month at St. Charles Hyundai. Whether you're looking to buy, sell, or service, St. Charles Hyundai is giving you amazing savings all winter long. And remember, hurry in today and make no car payments until April. St. Charles Hyundai is located a quarter mile east of Mid-Rivers Mall Drive off I-70, or visit them online at stcharleshyundai.com. Interest, if any, accrues during the deferral period, expires month's end. St. Charles Hyundai.
Hey guys, Glover here for my friends at Zero Res Carpet Cleaning. Happy New Year on behalf of Zero Res. And they are celebrating the new year by giving you a great January deal. Get this, 23% off all of our services. Of course, carpet cleaning, pre-treated and Zero Res clean with the 30-day gotta love it guarantee, upholstery, air ducts, anything that you need in your home that's going to make it more beautiful, more healthy, more livable for the winter months coming up. If your New Year's resolution has anything to do with just improving your home and improving your quality of life, which of course most of us do, check out Zero Res. We have a 4.9 rating on Google with over 4,300 reviews. Once again, big news. DGS special for January 2023 is 23% off all services. Call 314-474-2020 or book online at ZeroResSTL.com. Happy New Year.
Your home of the Cardinals.
Arenado swings and hits it deep to left field. That ball is out of here.
The Billikens.
Jumper. Yes! Billikens win.
The Chiefs.
Touchdown! Kansas City.
We are America's sports voice. KMOX.
I'm not waiting for it to drop. I don't care. I'm going to start talking now.
It's Amy Mark scores and the worst person in the world, Chris Frangi.
Oh, get
He's
serious.
no fun.
Get
He's
serious.
the worst.
I don't like mashups. Whatever.
Listen.
Leave me alone.
There was a mashup at the wedding reception last night, and it was 24 karat magic, and then Hot in Here is like overlaid on top of it, and it's so perfect, and it's so fun to dance to. And Poopy Pants over here.
I don't like them.
No, I hate mashups. I hate
yeah.
fun.
I love fun.
You know, I'm glad you weren't invited.
Although take it, Amy, so am I.
I mean, you don't know my brother, but I'm glad you weren't
once.
invited.
He's a nice guy.
You did meet him once.
Yeah.
For what it's worth, my brother, I'm pretty sure, likes Ranji more than he likes me. But
well, yeah.
I mean, he loves me, but he also likes Ranji a lot.
Sports fella Matt Pauley is with us. Is he? We do have him, right? Yeah, Matt Pauley. Hello.
Please,
there you are.
please,
Hey, Matt.
please tell us that you got into another fight. Please.
No, hold on. We'll get to that. We'll get to that in a second. But we have a pressing issue we've been talking about. I said that weddings should be the ceremony itself should be no longer than 10 minutes. Some people object to that.
Yeah.
I can't imagine it's most people. What do you think, Matt?
I'd say no more than an hour.
An
hour? An hour?
Oh.
I don't know. 40 minutes?
Wait, what are you
I'm
doing?
trying to think how
Reading
long
the
mine.
No, the answer is 10 minutes.
Can I get really serious for a
Yes.
second?
Oh, yeah.
All right. So something that was really important to me in my wedding, and I bet, I'm trying to think about it. I bet my wedding was probably 35, 40 minutes. But I knew, again, I'm going very serious here. I knew there'd be a lot of people in my wedding who were not Christians, and I am a Christian. And I made a point to my pastor that I did want like the gospel preached at some point during my wedding so people who are not Christians could be exposed to it. So that was actually one of the most important parts of my wedding.
Matt, I really, really appreciate that. And thank you for getting serious, because we were joking around a bit. And I know it's a really special time. And that I think that is a beautiful sentiment. And what's so cool is a friend of mine her son got married, and they had kind of that same mentality as well, as far as important to them to share the gospel, but also their father had passed away, so they played his favorite worship song. So instead of having like a singer, everybody sang the song that was their dad's favorite, which was very, very touching. So
that's cool.
Thank you, Matt.
I'm a big worship music kind of guy too. So we did 3 songs. I think our wedding had 3 songs, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
Huh.
That's really beautiful. And I don't know where to go from here.
Well,
I
I will reiterate. I listened to both of you just now,
Yeah.
and you have not changed my mind at all. 10 minutes tops. Moving forward.
Yeah.
Well, a texter texted into the show and said, my wife wanted to walk down the aisle to Everything She Does Is Magic by the Police, and that was almost a deal breaker.
Every little thing she does is magic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know about that.
Well, like I said, I thought More Than a Woman would be a great
No,
song
it's
to walk
bad.
down the aisle to. What would you walk down the aisle if you were the bride?
If I was the bride?
Yeah. What would you want to walk down the aisle to?
I'll have to think about it.
Oh.
Probably something from Drake. I don't know. Give me some time. I'll get back to you.
This does feel very sacrilegious, this conversation.
Why?
Only if you get married in Canada can you walk down with Drake.
I might just go to the city hall. You go to the city hall and get the paper.
I
and
love
be
the
done
City
with
Hall
it.
thing because I like old movies. So like, James Stewart, Clark Gable, that type of let's, run to the City Hall and get married and in black and white.
Nah, see, here's what
I like old movies.
Here's how if I ever get married, here's how it's going to go. City Hall, sign the papers. We'll meet you all at the Knights of Columbus Hall later. Be
Yeah.
one of those things.
Yeah.
That's it.
I can see that. That seems like you.
Too good for the Kiwanis or I don't even know.
It's just the first
American
thing that I
Legion?
thought of. I've been to a lot of Knights of Columbus
Yeah.
Hall.
It's been a while, but a
Receptions.
couple of weddings ago, it was Knights of Columbus.
I went to one in the footprint of the Granite City Steel Mill.
Oh,
And I was
wow.
like, it's not the most charming setting, but it'll do. It'll be fine.
Have either of you gone to a very bizarre setting for a wedding? A wedding setting?
Nothing.
I've been to some outdoor weddings are always kind of a little bit different just
Yeah.
because they're outdoor, but that's not, a lot of people do outdoor weddings, so that's a bad example.
We went to a wedding in Nashville. It was actually Mount Juliet. So just outside of Nashville. Why is that important? Well, it's important because Uber drivers a lot of times don't like to drive 35 minutes out of the city to pick you up at midnight on a Sunday. And so this was back in the summer, and it was this old cabin in the woods, kind of deep in the woods. They had the wedding ceremony. It was beautiful, little twinkle lights and everything. But because it's a cabin in the woods, it's a long, maybe mile-long gravel driveway. There are no lights. It's just into the woods. When you got there, it was daytime. But by midnight, it was dark. And everyone had planned rides. And there were maybe 10 of us, 12 of us who needed to call Ubers. So we called an Uber. And what happens is the Uber said, yeah, we'll pick you up. Then sees that it's a 35-minute drive outside the city, not worth their time. So they'll cancel. So we start walking down the gravel driveway in the dark, in stilettos. And it's at one point, it's me and my friend. We're the only two left. We're waiting for this Uber praying the Uber doesn't cancel. Uber, praying the Uber doesn't cancel.
The generic version of Uber.
That's
Uber.
right, Uber. Eventually, he pulls up, tinted windows, rolls down the windows like, Amy, he's got sunglasses on at midnight with tinted windows. He was high as a kite. And my friend goes, get in the car, Amy, get in the car. So we got in the car. We made it back. But that's the type of poor decision you make when you're in the dark, in the woods, about to get murdered at midnight, waiting for an Uber. Yeah, that's the end of my story.
Yeah.
So
I've
the
heard that
Cardinals
story
doing?
already, so I checked out. Hey, Matt Pauley, I feel like
Yes.
the only thing that's pressing right now is the Hall of Fame ballot. We're going to find out tomorrow who's going to make it into the Hall of Fame, and Scott Rowland has been on the ballot. Is this the time he gets in?
It's going to be really close. So Derek Gould just posted his ballot, and he has Rowland in there. I saw Bob Nightingale did not have Scott Rowland on there, which I was a little bit surprised that Nightingale did not think that Rowland was a Hall of Famer. There's a group on Twitter who keeps track of all the ballots. And generally speaking, because not everybody releases their ballots publicly, generally speak, and the people who tend not to release their ballots publicly also tend to be the people who vote for nobody or vote for one guy.
Well, no, those
So-
people like to make a show of it.
Well, there's also I think there's a group of people who don't make a show of it, and they don't want to take the criticism, and they believe what they believe. So generally speaking, rule of thumb is on the public ballots, you need to be at about 80% to get in. And Roland he just went under 80 over the weekend. Maybe Gould will take him back over 80, but he's right there on that line. So it's going to be really, really close with Roland, and I don't think anybody else is going to get in.
Okay. Well, I hope he does get in. I've been advocating for that for a really long time, and it's not really Cardinals bias. It's just he was that good. He was that good of a player, and I think he
he's a
definitely
top
belongs
10
in.
third baseman
Easy.
in Major League history.
Easy.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of the third base position gets looked down upon, which is so stupid. It's so dumb.
Why?
Because they don't think people don't think it's as hard to play as shortstop or middle infield position or center field, which it doesn't matter. If you were that good at a position on the field, which is part of the game, you belong in if you're top 10 easily all time, which he is.
So
And
like
here's
Kenny
where that
Boyer-
doesn't make sense.
Oh,
Well,
so
it
did-
doesn't
did-
make Are we just talking over each other?
Yeah, but that's you go.
You go. Look, when LaRusso was here, he basically had the belief about second base that, like, if you're an athlete and you can just knock the ball down, you can play second. They put some interesting people at second during the LaRusso era, and he wasn't that wrong because the throw to first is so much shorter. All you got to do is kind of be able to knock the ball down. And I'm obviously dismissing the impact of second base and range and things like that. But that was kind of the LaRusso thing. Be athletic enough to play second, be able to knock the ball down and throw over to first. So the idea that you value middle and I know shortstop and second base are different, but you're right in what you're saying about the devaluing of third base versus middle infield. And second base is a middle infield spot. Third base is tougher to play than second base. And I think we see that every day because we watch Nolan Arenado do things that like nobody's ever done ever in the history of baseball, essentially. Or if they have, it's a short list with Brooks Robinson and Mike Schmidt. Like it's that impressive. So you're right, Ranj. The third base position is way, way, way undervalued in Hall of Fame voting, and I don't get it.
It's because third basemen don't cover as much ground, but he did. He covered a ton of ground over there.
Yeah, he had a profound impact on games from a defensive standpoint.
So hopefully Scott Rowland gets in tomorrow, and that's when we will find out.
So two questions. One, do you feel Kenny Boyer didn't get the recognition? Did people look down on Kenny Boyer because, oh, well, he was third base, so it doesn't compare to the other positions? And then two, don't you have to have a heck of an arm at third base?
Yeah. You got to have a great
I don't
arm.
understand. Why is that not part of the
But
equation?
you have to have a great arm at short, too, because a lot of times the balls that get in the hole, you have to range and get those
Sure.
and throw. And it's a harder throw, too, because you're moving away from first. So it's still viewed as a much more difficult position to play. Anyway,
In sometimes at third base, though, you have less time to make the play. Like the decision-making process is a lot quicker at third base with the ball coming down the line as compared to shortstop. And I'm not trying to denigrate shortstops, but it's just a different position and it's a different skill set. And just because it's different doesn't mean it's easier or tougher.
before we let you go, you almost punch anybody over the weekend?
Can't say that I did.
Good, man. He's making progress.
I like your stories,
I
Matt.
do too.
And so, I wouldn't be sad if you had an altercation, but in a chivalrous way. I feel like you're always standing up for someone.
That's right.
Standing
you are.
up for what's right. You're not just picking fights because you're a pugilist. You were defending the good and the right. And that's why we like to hear your stories of altercations.
I do. In all seriousness, I do have a really hard time just like standing there when I see somebody
Yeah.
being treated in a bad way.
No,
That's
I
a
can't do
really,
it.
really
You
tough
can't do
thing
it.
for me. Yeah.
You're a good
Yeah.
man. You're a good man, sports fella.
Thanks.
And thanks for sharing
Yeah,
about your wedding
yeah.
as well. I think that's a beautiful thing.
That he wants a 40-minute wedding.
No, but you're putting, like I said, it has to reflect the couple and the values
I think
and
you have
that
to
time.
keep your guests in mind. Your guests want
We-
food
look.
and they want booze. Let's go.
We had a fantastic reception. Went late into the night,
Mhm.
open bar. Like, trust me, what people sat through during the wedding got more than paid off during our reception.
Yeah, I don't know if that's the transaction.
No, Matt, I'm
Just
on your side.
I'm
and
bringing you a gift.
and I
Feed
think-
me. Let's go.
I think Ranji is a really horrible person, but it's okay.
Matt, appreciate your time.
You bet.
That's Matt Pauly's. Oh, wait. Is he still there?
Oh.
What's the
yeah.
sports open line?
Yeah.
What do you got? Keep forgetting about your show.
So, Slew Billikens coaches show from 6 to 7 tonight. Then I am on from 7 to 8. We're going to have Jeff Kerr on from CBS Sports. We'll talk NFL football with him, recap the weekend, and we got some other stuff that will go on for that hour as well. But that's the big one. Jeff Kerr, who I've never had him on KMOX, but I've had him on shows I've done in other places, and he's a great guest. So listen to Jeff Kerr tonight.
Bye, Matt.
Bye.
You can listen to that on the Odyssey app. If you don't have it downloaded yet, you better do it.
Mhm.
Get your Odyssey app. It's free. You can listen to that show live, our show live, all the shows live, and you can go back and get the podcasts if you missed anything throughout the day. Amy Marks Kors, Chris Ranji, you are listening to the show on KMOX.
Download Upside and start getting cash back wherever you roll. It's like having your own hype man. Get an average of 17% cash back at restaurants.
Oh, it's dinner time.
Average of 13% on groceries.
Get those groceries.
10 cents per gallon average cash back on gas.
It's go time.
Plus, cash back at participating convenience stores too.
Stacks on stacks.
Users can earn hundreds of dollars a year, 3 times more than other apps.
Upside, show me that money.
All right, we get it. It's easy. Just sign up for the free Upside app and start getting cash back for doing you. Download the free Upside app and use promo code DOYOU for an extra $10 cash back on your first purchase of $10 or more. That's promo code DOYOU for an extra $10 on the free Upside app. Get cash back for doing you with the free app from Upside.
Back to doing what I love and more. Thanks to the Good Feet Store.
Hi, this is Arnold, owner of the Good Feet store. How many blocks can you walk before you want to sit down because of foot, ankle, knee, or low back pain?
I really just wanted to avoid staying on my feet for very long at all.
Do you hate going to work in the morning because you already know that you're going to hurt?
If you're just in pain, you're hurting, you tend to get a little distracted from what you're working on too.
Come to the Good Feet store today and try it before you buy it.
I hobbled into the Good Feet store. It's been one of the best decisions I ever made. It was an investment in life.
Call 314-317-9494 or visit one of our 2 locations on Olive west of I-270 in the plaza with Subway or in Shiloh, Illinois across from Deerbergs.
Thanks to the Good Feet Store.
Individual results may vary. Consult your physician for medical conditions. Visit the website goodfeetstlewis.com. Start the new year on a better foot. Come in and try the Good Feet feeling today. Comfort, energy, performance, and pain relief at the Good Feet store.
Are you the type of person who loves their community and wants it to be the best it can be? Now it's easier than ever to do your part. Go to recyclemo.com to see just how easy it is to recycle the right way. Or if you already recycle and want to be as efficient as possible, recyclemo.com can tell you what should and should not be recycled in your area. Become part of the clean recycling movement today. It's the right thing to do. Sponsored by the Missouri Department of Natural Resources.
Join Mark Patrick Seminars. Lose the weight and stop smoking. Only $49.99. Seminars Wednesday, February 1st at the Holiday Inn Express Suite St. Louis Airport in St. Louis. And Thursday, February 2nd at the 4 Points by Sheraton St. Louis Fairview Heights in Fairview Heights. Weight loss seminar 5:30 p.m. Stop smoking seminar 8 p.m. Sign up at markpatrickseminars.com.
Home Sweet Home mission is to give underserved families a sense of pride and to improve the quality of their lives by providing basic household furnishings. To learn more, go to homesweethomestl.org.
Chris Ranji.
Wonderful bones, great eyes, and you dress really interesting.
On the show.
It It is the show with Chris Ranji and Amy Mark Scores, and we've been talking a lot about weddings because my brother got married yesterday. Well, his rehearsal dinner was Friday night, and a massive debate broke out during this rehearsal dinner. You can use it, it wasn't a huge rehearsal dinner. But here is the thing. Flip-flops. What do you call flip-flops for short? Do you say, hand me my flips, or do you say, hand me my flops?
I don't know if I say either one. I don't talk about flip-flops ever.
Okay,
because flip-flops are off limits. They're horrible, and you shouldn't wear them.
So I put a
unless
Twitter
you're
poll.
at the beach. If you're at the beach, okay. Any other time, no flip-flops.
That's what I took a Twitter poll that night. I said, guys, I'm at my brother's wedding rehearsal dinner. So there's a debate. What do you call flip-flops, flips or flops? I got about, 467 votes. 31.7% said flips. 68.3% said flops. Then we had several people vote flippy floppies from Lonely Island. Also, thongs. They used to be called thongs. I remember when they were called thongs. I think that was the 80s. And then slides.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're in a locker room. Because you wear flip-flops on the beach or in locker rooms. And I feel like in locker rooms, people say slides or whatever. But I have never in my life heard anyone call them flops. And I called, and it was the best man, actually. I called him a sociopath. So what kind of sociopath calls them flops?
Do you know what I think is sociopathic?
That we're talking this
having
conversation?
This debate at a wedding rehearsal.
How does this surprise you, though? If you're with a bunch of 20-something-year-old, right? Like young men, my brother's friends.
Yeah.
You have goofy conversations about sports or whatever, and someone said flops, and one of the guys like, flops? Who calls them flops? And then you start bringing in the other tables. It was one of those conversations where it just got out of hand, and everybody was arguing about flips and flops. I've never heard anyone call them flops.
I have to tell you that
I don't even need to hear your conversation. I don't need to hear your thought. No, you don't have to tell me anything. Your face is telling me everything I need to know.
If this is the kind of conversation you're having at a rehearsal dinner and or a reception, I would actually hope the ceremony lasts 5 hours.
Here's the thing. Why?
Just because I'd rather be at the ceremony
what do
than
you
that
and your
conversation.
stupid friends talk about?
Awesome stuff.
No, you don't. I've heard what you talk about.
You have not.
You just call them bad words. You have before.
Yeah, well,
I've been out with you one time with you and your dumb friends,
No, you
and
haven't.
all you do is call each other names.
Oh, well, because that's what friends do.
Sure, but you don't have any dumb debates. Another debate we had. This is not my brother's rehearsal dinner.
Before you get to that,
gosh.
let me ask this question to the people. 314-436-7900. When you get together with your friends,
stupid debates.
Is it all niceties, or are you making fun of each other?
Yes,
I would like to know.
These are not mutually exclusive. I was calling them names, not vulgar names, but like I said, he was a sociopath, and we were making fun of each other because I say flips and he says flops.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So you're making fun of each other. But if you are with your friends, you're telling me you never get into stupid debates. Like we had the huge debate about whether or not 5 of my friends and I could, or I guess my 5 friends, including me, could beat the Kentucky basketball team, not beat them, but hold them off if we were up by 50 points with 5 minutes left and they were in slippery socks. How do you not have debates like that? If you and some of your friends were playing basketball against the Kentucky basketball team,
you know what I get the feeling?
and they have slippery socks on.
I feel like hanging out with you and your friends is probably tedious.
No, but these are my bad friends. These are
These are your bad friends?
not the ones at the wedding, but the slippery socks one.
These are your bad friends?
They're sleazy friends. They're the kind of people that you hang out with.
You're hold on a second. What is your idea of sleazy?
Think of your friends.
You don't even know my friends.
That's it. I know you.
Yeah, I'm awesome.
You're a little sus.
I'm pretty normal. I want to know.
No, here's the thing with you.
You're hanging out with scholars and judges.
No, but that's not these people. These are the people that
like a normal person, an average person who has a regular job.
Yes.
So you call them sleazy. So you think blue collar and middle class America.
Sometimes,
is sleazy.
Ranj, they make bad jokes.
You always make bad jokes.
Never make bad. No, not like poor quality. I mean vulgar.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's what a normal person does.
And that's who these people are. And we have stupid debates. Okay, come on, you guys. I'm making this Twitter poll.
Yeah.
When you get together with your friends, do you have debates about stupid things? Yes or no? Yes. That's what friends are
Yeah, but
for.
I have yes, we do. We have really fun debates though. Not these. What do you call those things? Or flip flops? We don't have those.
You know what?
I
I don't
never even thought
understand.
about it.
I don't even understand why we're together. Why are we here? Why are we having these conversations? This was a bad pairing.
I am the best thing that ever happened to you.
Fake news.
Amy Mark scores. A liar. Chris Ranji, the best. You've got the show.
Hi, this is Brian with Velocity Home Buyers, and I buy houses cash. If you own a house and want to sell it fast at a fair price, call me at 314-782-5555. I can pay cash and close in as little as 7 days. I buy houses in any condition and any price range in the St. Louis area. I'm a private real estate investor who buys several houses a month, and I want to buy more. I buy inherited houses, divorce houses, behind in payment houses. I even buy my tenant won't pay me the rent houses. Do you own a house that needs updating, but you don't have the time or money for it? Great, because I love buying outdated houses. I buy vacant houses, behind on taxes houses, and foreclosure houses. If you own a house and want to sell it fast, call me at 314-782-5555. That's 314-782-5555.
Football's biggest game of the year is coming up February 12th. But if you're looking to travel in 2023, the biggest day of the year for you is February 4th. It's AAA Travel Marketplace. It's the super big, can't miss travel event of the year. AAA Travel Marketplace features tons of cruise and tour partners all under one roof with limited time special offers for huge savings on your next dream vacation. AAA Travel Marketplace, Saturday, February 4th, 9 a.m. till noon at the Holiday Inn at Watson and Lindbergh at Sunset Hills. Get all the info at AAA.com/travel show.
When choosing a skilled nursing memory care community, choose Park Provence. Considered by U.S. News and World Reports as a best memory care community for nearly 20 years, they've been the experts at treating dementia and Alzheimer's disease. If you're faced with making a difficult decision for your loved one, talk to the leaders at memory care at Park Provence. Learn more by calling 314-542-5200 or visit parkprovence.com. That's PARC Provence.com.
KMOX, KECK HD2, K254CR, St. Louis.
The home of the Cardinals, KMOX. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
Over 30 years ago, it was that can-do spirit which helped the founder of Reinhold Flooring start the business, installing Reinhold quality carpet and beautiful flooring himself. Now, Reinhold Flooring is still family-owned and operated and winning St. Louis Magazine's best flooring store 2 years in a row. With Reinhold Flooring, it's not about the sale, it's about the amazing floor to perfectly match your house and your life. Customer-driven since day one. Visit ReinholdFlooring.com. With so many ideas you can do it with a can-do crew at Reinhold Flooring. ReinholdFlooring.com.
I'm Brian Westbrook with Coalition Life. Over the past decade, Coalition Life has served thousands of women in crisis pregnancies, helping to save the lives of the children that they carry. Help us build a better community while also reducing or completely eliminating your Missouri taxes with a 70% tax credit. A $1,000 donation today to help these women could cost you as little as $141 out of pocket. Learn more at coalitionlife.com, coalitionlife.com. Thank you.
Mid-America's most trusted source for news. KMOX.
At 12 o'clock, there's some sun, 41 degrees downtown at the Arch. The news is sponsored by Michael's Flooring Outlet, the flooring experts, michaelsflooringoutlet.com. I'm Michael Calhoun. Our top story this hour, authorities are searching for a motive for the gunman who killed 10 people at a Los Angeles area ballroom dance club during Lunar New Year celebrations. In an interview with ABC's Good Morning America, Brandon Say says he had to grab the gun from the suspected shooter.
At one point, I was able to pull the gun away from him, shove him aside, create some distance, point the gun at him, intimidate him, shot him and say, "Get the hell out of here. I'll shoot. Get away. Go."
More documents discovered and more questions for President Biden. The FBI left the president's Delaware home Friday with 6 additional documents that have classification markings. CBS News correspondent Skylar Henry has more from Capitol Hill.
President Biden headed back to the White House Monday, where his administration faces more questions about the latest discovery of items with classified markings. The president spent the weekend at his house in Rehoboth Beach, while the FBI searched his primary residence in Wilmington Friday for 13 hours. Investigators reviewed personally handwritten notes, files, and other items going back decades. The president's private attorney says the FBI took 6 items consisting of documents with classification markings and surrounding materials.
An estimated 25 to 30 documents and items connected to President Biden have been recovered so far. Sources say the DOJ is considering searching other properties owned by the president. There's a distrust between parents and schools, so says State Senator Andrew Koenig, Republican from Manchester. His Senate Bill 4 would require schools to have a portal where parents can see their child's complete school curriculum. Then there's CRT.
The second thing it does is prohibitions on CRT. Now, actually, in the bill, we're not trying to define CRT. We're trying to basically create a definition of prohibitions of what we want prohibitions on.
In Koenig's assessment, CRT blames a whole race for actions of the past, while Koenig agrees there was racism in our nation's past. He says those problems today have been mitigated. Tax filing season is officially underway. The IRS began accepting returns today. CBS's Sarah Ewell-Rice has more on what to expect.
The IRS expects 168 million individual tax returns to be filed this season. The agency is encouraging everyone to file electronically and with direct deposit to avoid processing delays. The IRS anticipates those who file electronically without issue will get their refunds within 21 days.
You have until April 18th to file your taxes. If you file an extension, you have until October 16th. The KMOX Business Desk, earnings season's in full swing.
Earnings will dominate trading this week. Some of the major companies reporting include American Airlines, American Express, Boeing, AT&T, IBM, Verizon, and Southwest. Courtney Donahoe, Bloomberg Radio.
Dow from Stifel's up 318 points to 33,693. We've got a crash on 70 East at the Missouri River. It's got the 2 right lanes closed. Also some debris, 270 East at 367 in the left lane. Stalled vehicle 255 West at Telegraph on the right shoulder. And 15 East at 255. There's a crash in the 2 left lanes.
This afternoon, periods of clouds and sunshine, high at 44. Then clouds thicken up for tonight, low 30. Tomorrow, cloudy, high at 44. Snow returning tomorrow night into Wednesday, accumulating 3 to 6 inches. For AccuWeather, Meteorologist Matt Benz on the Voice of St. Louis. KMOX.
It's 41 in Florissant, 42 in St. Peters, and 41 degrees downtown at the Arch. It feels like 37. I'm Michael Calhoun, KMOX News.
Amy Marks, Corzine, Chris Ranji on KMOX. It is the show. It's our final hour before the Dave Glover Show comes in, and we hang out with them for an hour. We did talk today about the shots that were fired at the Foundry over the weekend. 3 juveniles were responsible for it, ages of 15 and 16. Multiple cars broken into as well over by the Armory, which is just across the highway, but it's still in close proximity from the Foundry. And there's a lot about it that is very disappointing, just because you don't want incidents like that to happen in the first place. You certainly don't want kids doing it. You know, if they're 15 and 16 years old, that's a problem in itself. And then on top of it, these are 2 up-and-coming areas of St. Louis, or up-and-coming venues in St. Louis. And a lot of money has been invested into renovating those areas, renovating the Armory, renovating the area where the Foundry is located. And every time something like that happens, it just drives people away. And I hope that isn't the effect that happens now.
Yes. Well, and again, you mentioned the kids. We have talked to the chief of police in Clayton, Mark Smith. We've talked to the mayor of Clayton, Michelle Harris. We've talked to law enforcement in the city, out in St. Charles. So many of these car break-ins and carjackings are A, armed, the suspects are armed, and B, teenagers. the suspects are 15 and 16 years old. And what you had at the Foundry, a gem of St. Louis, where you have all of these restaurants, you have live music, entertainment, you have people coming from all over to have date night, to see a movie, whatever it may be. They're coming to this area, the City Foundry. They need to feel safe. They need to know that when they leave the movie, when they leave the restaurant where they were eating dinner, that they're not going to come back to shattered glass and bullet holes. And this was not just a car break-in, but you had active shooting where one group was leaning outside on top of their Honda Accord, shooting at a group of 3 teenagers and 2 police officers who had already apprehended the 3 teenagers, one of which had modified a Glock 29 to be fully automatic. He's like, it's like a movie scene out there in the parking lot in the Foundry. That's going to drive people away. It's the last thing you need at these areas that are the gems of St. Louis, that bring people from all over.
What is really what really sucks about it is it feels like that happens. It happened at Union Station.
Yep.
People stopped going to Union Station because there was stuff going on in the parking lot. And Union Station used to be kind of fun. You know, It used to be a thing. And we have to stop ruining things.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know what the solution is. I mean, you could put these kids in jail. Legally, it doesn't seem like you could do it because the juvenile court told the police to let them go. And the story is at KMOX.com if you want to go and read it. But by law, it appears you couldn't hang on to them.
Yeah.
And that's what happens. I know there are people who will be like, well, that's the way this city is, and they just let criminals go. And maybe sometimes that's true. But in a case with juveniles, they probably can't hold on to them by law. So what do? You change the law?
I mean, I don't know. I don't know what the answer is, but you have to be on top of it. There have to be consequences because the assurance of getting caught and the assurance of having consequences or punishment for your actions, that's how you deter crime. That's statistically data-driven. That's how you deter crime. Police presence and then knowing there will be consequences. 1, if you think most likely I can get away with it. 2, even if I don't quote unquote get away with it, I'm not going to be prosecuted in any shape, way, or form. Why in the world would you not take that chance?
We also talked to Senator Holly Thompson Rader of District 27 about the opioid monitoring program. And the state of Missouri still has a long ways to go, but they are making progress in that area and trying to catch up with some of the other states in the region, states like Illinois and Tennessee, which have had these programs in the past. And again, there is improvement, but it's good to know that we are working in that direction. And maybe the end result is not going to be here for a while, but we got to make progress. And it looks like the state is trying.
Were we the last state to adopt a program like this, a prescription drug monitoring program?
I don't know if we were the last state, but she did say that they were 17th in the country, right? Wasn't it 17th in the country? Yeah.
Yeah. And I will say again, this is a bill that was passed a couple of years ago, but now they are launching the program. It's going into effect now with Kentucky-based Bamboo Health, which was already overseeing a similar program in St. Louis County.
We visited with Matt Pauley, the sports fella, talked about the candidacy of Scott Rowland, who is trying to get into the Hall of Fame. A great Cardinals third baseman and deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. We will find out tomorrow if he is going to be elected this time around. I'm trying not to be biased here, but I do think that he belongs in, and I hope tomorrow is that day. Amy, her brother got married yesterday.
Yes, he did.
She had the stupidest debate at the wedding.
No,
and
it was me and the best man were arguing about flip-flops. Do you
Yes.
call them flips? Do you call them flops?
That's just a conversation I've never even thought about having, and I hope to never have again.
Yes, it's not as edifying as the conversations that Ranji and his friends have.
Yeah, they're fun
Mhm.
and hilarious.
And not FCC compliant.
Correct.
Yes, okay.
Yeah. These texters, we were discussing whether or not people and how they talk to one another, friends, how they talk. And all these texters say we just make fun of each other when we're around. This one says we do that. And we really did if they had that dumb conversation that you guys just had.
Everybody, you're all liars. You're all big fat liars because you've had dumb and even dumber conversations than that. And here's the thing. You all act like that was such a lowbrow conversation to have. We had a lot of votes and a lot of comments on Twitter, which means they were involved in the conversation as well. It's not a stupid conversation. And even if it were, it's funny. And it's the type of debate you have with your friends. You know what? Again, and just so you know, when Ranj and I give each other trouble, it's not friends giving each other trouble. I actually dislike him.
No, you don't.
Yes, I do.
Yeah, you can keep saying that all you. Are you trying to manifest it? Are you trying to manifest
I have
your
like my Oprah dream
disdain for
board.
me?
It's just like mean things about Ranj.
Yeah,
I don't like Ranj. He is not funny.
Well, now we can add this to your personality bucket. You're also a liar. My friends have, this is from a 989 area code.
Yeah.
What is that?
98. I'll look it up.
Look
You
it
read
up.
the text.
My friends and I have stupid arguments all the time. The most recent one, Criminal Minds, Mandy Patinkin or Joe Montana.
Okay, see, I get
That's
it.
better than your stupid argument.
Central Michigan,
Hey, Central.
the northeastern lower peninsula, and portions of the Thumb.
Oh, the LP.
Wow.
Michigan, hello.
Thank you for texting in. We appreciate it.
We had a texter from Colorado earlier, and I forgot what
Ugh.
they said. I don't know what it was.
Well, you find it, but again, it was the flip-flop conversation. The previous one was if my friends and I could hold off the Kentucky basketball team if we were up by 50 points with 5 minutes left and they were in slippery socks.
We also asked the question, how long should a wedding be? And by the way, that poll is up on Twitter right now at the show KMOX. And here are your options. Okay. So follow us at the show KMOX.
And actively look for us because these algorithm, I never see the show. I have to go search for it.
I've been hearing people, or depending on where you're looking, if you're using Twitter with the app on your phone or you're using it on like a regular browser, that it's difficult to see people you follow. And I think it's probably the phone where it's more difficult because the algorithm is not showing you your followers.
Because there are two tabs, right? And you can
now
say
it says
for you or following.
Yeah.
But yeah, and it's interesting. There were people too that I would always see their posts, and then suddenly I stopped seeing their posts. And it's not that I don't follow them. It's just, I don't know, algorithms.
So the Twitter poll is this: what's the longest a wedding ceremony should last? Your options: more than an hour, which by the way has 0 votes so far. 30 minutes to an hour, up to 30 minutes, or less than 10 minutes. So those are your options. So go vote at the show KMOX. We are also on Instagram at the show KMOX
And our
as well.
Instagram has some fun reels. You know, I've actually been getting a lot of feedback on the reels.
Yeah, they're bangers. Anna's doing a great job.
Little bits of the show.
All right. What else? That's it.
Well, did we talk about classified documents?
Oh, we did. We talked about the classified documents. Joe Biden finds more. Before
Stephen
this
Portnoy
is over,
joined us. Yeah.
Stephen Portnoy joined us to discuss that and what the political fallout's going to be. Don't know. Don't know if anything comes of it. I don't know how much people... I feel like people are classified, documented out.
Yeah, yes. However, I feel like it's tough to say that. I mean, just being absolutely objective and fair, you can't be all in a passion and hot and bothered by it when it's Donald Trump and Mar-a-Lago and then suddenly lose interest when it's Joe Biden.
I agree with you. And likewise, you can't be all angry about Joe Biden and not about Donald Trump.
And people are always comparing those two. And I think when it comes to actual consequences, it's not Biden to the Trump standard or Trump to the Biden standard. I really think it's going to be the Comey, Hillary Clinton standard. I think that's the standard that both Trump and Biden will be held to. I do think the documents, Joe Biden having all of these documents continuing to be found, I do think it puts I don't think damper is the right word for it. It slows down the Trump criminal push.
Well, I don't think it will have the effect if he tries to run again.
Biden or Trump?
Biden.
Okay.
Well, Trump is going to, right? I think that's pretty much done.
Assumed. I think he announced. I don't know.
So if Joe Biden runs again, if he loses, I don't think it's going to be because of this. I don't think it will have the same impact the Clinton email stuff a couple of weeks before the election had. I don't think that's...
Some have argued that the Clinton emails, again, I would have to look at the logistics. They said in some way it's more dangerous because it is easier to hack into emails than it is Joe Biden's garage.
Sure.
Potentially the email and the private server exposed that information to more eyeballs than the garage.
And that was investigated thoroughly.
And because
both of these things are being investigated thoroughly like they should be.
But there were no criminal charges against Hillary Clinton.
Right.
And according to that standard, and the standard that went further than the statute itself, when it looked at intentionality and deliberate mishandling, if Hillary Clinton didn't meet that standard, I don't see how either Trump or Biden will.
Amy Markscore's Chris Ranji. We will talk to Gilbert King, who is the host and producer of the Bone Valley podcast. And that podcast is about the Leo Schofield case from Florida. It is a person who is, by all accounts, wrongfully convicted of a crime of killing his wife back in the 80s and has spent all of this time in prison, despite the fact somebody else has admitted to the crime multiple times and described it in detail. So really looking forward to the conversation with Gilbert. That's coming up at 12:30. Amy Markscore's and Chris Ranji are with you now on KMOX.
Well, if you would like to continue to give back to the community, if you find you're encouraged by helping others, and studies show that helping others, serving others, giving to those less fortunate really does help our own health, well, might I recommend the Salvation Army? And I know the Tree of Lights campaign makes you think of Christmas and the holidays, and we've moved beyond the holidays. Well, the Salvation Army loves beyond Christmas. They continue to stand in the gap all year long. I know it's easy during the holiday season to say, okay, yeah, I'm going to give. I'm going to help those less fortunate. And then it's easy to forget those less fortunate as our lives pick back up and we get busy with soccer practice and work and school and whatever it is we're doing. But the need remains. Your neighbors who are struggling to pay their rent, your neighbors who are struggling to put food on the table, a veteran struggling with homelessness or addiction, the Salvation Army helps all year round. And so I still have my virtual red kettle up at salarmy.us/Amy Markscores, salarmy.us/Amy Markscores. You can make a donation today, and your donation, no matter how big or small, makes a difference right here in St. Louis.
Have you got your tickets yet for the DGS Live?
January 26th at the Wildey Theater in Edwardsville.
They're going fast.
It's an absolute riot.
The DGS Live.
January 26th.
Sponsored by Weber Chevrolet. For tickets or more info, KMOX.com/events.
Men, if you're struggling with erectile dysfunction or PE and frustrated taking pills that don't work, Paramount Men's Medical Center offers breakthrough medical treatments that effectively treat your problem. 98% of patients experience immediate results during their first office visit. And for a limited time, your initial consultation and first treatment are completely free. Listen to a specialist in men's health.
I'm Dr. Brown. The physicians at Paramount Men's Medical Center offer the most advanced treatments that eliminate ED and PE. Now men are lasting 30, 60, 90 minutes or longer, regardless of age or medical history.
Guys, to eliminate your frustration in the bedroom, call Paramount Men's Medical Center now to take advantage of this exclusive limited-time offer. Your initial consultation and first treatment are totally free, and you'll see instant results right in the office. Call now, 314-720-8081. 314-720-8081. That's 314-720-8081.
Need to sell your home, but not willing to play the wait and see game? This is Debbie Monterey with Gloria Liu with Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. With Gloria Liu, you have seller options to choose from, including a no-obligation cash offer from one of Gloria Liu's cash buyers. It's simple, straightforward, and in many cases, you can receive a cash offer in less than 24 hours. No more wait and see game. And you can even pick the closing date. With Gloria Liu and her cash offer program, you are always in control. Not ready for the cash offer? No problem. Gloria Liu has a guaranteed sold program that states Gloria will sell your home at your agreed to price and time frame, or she will buy it herself, guaranteed in writing. Gloria has solutions and options for every seller. So call today and ask about Gloria's no obligation cash offer program or the guaranteed sold program, 314-325-6888, or online at gloriahasthebuyers.com. Conditions apply. Gloria and seller must agree on price and possession date.
The voice of St. Louis. News that matters to you. KMOX.
Amy and Chris on the show on KMOX. Good afternoon to all of you. We thank you for listening in. And if you got the Odyssey app, great. You can download it if you haven't, and you can listen to the show wherever you are. Catch the podcast when we are done. Everything you missed is on the podcasts section. Just go to it, find the show, and you can listen to anything you missed. We got the Gilbert King interview coming up momentarily. We had somebody here, Rob Kramer, who was a part of KMOX for, he was here for several years, maybe 4 or 5 years as a sales manager. He has moved on to another position, and we wish him the best. But there was sort of a going away thing for him at Maggie O'Brien's on Friday. So
by the new
right across the
City
street
Park.
from City Park. Yeah. Which, by the way, that place looks really nice.
It's beautiful.
It looks really nice when I've driven past it a bunch, but when you're standing there and getting a chance to look directly at it, and then at night when it's lit up with the red glowing lights, it's a nice looking building.
It's so sharp. And Maggie O'Brien's has been completely redone.
And they've renovated.
They're sharp.
Yeah, that place is.
That whole stretch with Union Station, Maggie O'Brien's, the practice fields in the heart of, downtown, right next to City Park. And who were we talking to last week that said having the practice fields? Oh, Lutz Pfannenstiel.
Oh.
Yeah. Is that how I say it right?
Pfannenstiel.
Pfannenstiel.
Or Pfannenstiel.
Yes.
Yes.
He was saying having the practice fields right there across from the park in downtown is really extraordinary and unusual.
Yeah, it's a very cool thing, and that's going to be a nice jewel here in the crown. So I parked on the street, and we've got the metered parking here, and we've got the thing where you download the app and then you pay on the app. You type in the number of the space that you're parked in. Sometimes, Amy, I'm not always that great at remembering to do it.
Wait, when was this party?
Friday.
But
so I got there
after 5 or something?
Yeah, I got there like 5:30.
But you had to pay still?
Allegedly, because I didn't. And when I came out to my car a couple hours later, there was a ticket on it. And can I tell you that I don't know if this is good or bad. I think it's not good. Nobody wants parking tickets. Parking tickets suck. And I've gotten many, many, many parking tickets in my life, especially living in Chicago. They are relentless. You cannot leave your car in a bad spot for 2 minutes because it will get a ticket.
Yeah.
Here it might get broken into. There you'll get a ticket. And it's $75. So I was kind of surprised when I got back to the car. First of all, I thought I was past the hours that I needed to pay for it. But secondly, that there was actually a ticket there, because we have this perception of what's going on in St. Louis and how it seems like there isn't enough staff. There aren't enough bodies doing things. We spent some time making fun of the car that needed to be towed outside of Catalyst Coffee.
We'd make fun of it. We decorated it.
We did decorate it.
Yeah.
You're right. We decorated it and it was lovely. It was going to get even better. That nobody was handling that. So the perception is anything goes
Mhm.
here in St. Louis, right? Anything goes downtown. I was stunned that there was actually a ticket on the car.
You know what that is? Bad luck. It was random. It was like someone hit a ping pong ball that's been bouncing around downtown, and that ping pong ball, it's not stopping crime, but it happened to hit your car and give you a ticket.
Because I will tell you that I'm sure what happened, that without thinking about it, actively thinking about it, in my mind, I parked the car. I knew I was in a metered spot, but then I said, I'm not going to get a ticket. Who's out working right now?
Right.
That's not good either. I mean, it's a little dishonest on my part, first of all.
No.
But secondly, to just think, no one's going to come by here.
Okay, it's not just a perception. Years ago, when I first moved into the city, my friend who lived in the city said, he was kind of driving crazy. And he said, oh, you can drive like a maniac. He goes, as long as you don't kill anybody, you're going to get away with it. And even then, it's 50-50, which is a horrible thing to say. But hey, I'm just telling you the truth. That's what he said. There is this idea that anything goes. You can run red lights. You can park anywhere. You can do whatever. But there is the chance that you'll randomly get hit with a ticket.
It's only $25.
You're more likely, it seems like, to have your windows broken than to get a parking ticket. Because I do feel like, especially, this is terrible. And now I know I sound facetious. However, I feel like if your car is downtown, they should leave notes on there that say, thank you for frequenting this downtown establishment. Please come back. That's what I would do.
Like a thank you note for your car?
Yes. Thank you for being here. Like, hey, you shouldn't park here. You should have paid. However, we're so glad that you drove downtown to come to an establishment and patronize our wonderful restaurants and stores. Have a nice day.
Should the city pay somebody to do that?
Nice ticket guy?
Yeah.
I'd do it for free.
We talked last week about that voucher program that was in
Bloomington.
In Bloomington, Illinois.
I talked to my cousin yesterday,
Yeah.
Will from Bloomington, about that.
So what the
He lives there.
Yes, the Bloomington Police Department, what they're doing is if they pull you over for a burnt out taillight or turn signal or headlight, instead of writing you a ticket, writing you a citation, they're giving you a voucher to get it fixed.
Which sounds awesome. Also, if that voucher is up to $250.
Right.
Why would you then take care of your own headlights? Why would you not just wait until you get pulled over?
I don't know. I probably would.
I mean, to save $250, if my headlight goes out, I'm driving around until I get pulled over.
Here's what I will tell you about Bloomington, Illinois, though. There's not a whole lot going on. So when there's not a whole lot going on, you're going to get pulled over for a light out very quickly.
That's what I mean. So you're
You don't
like,
have to wait very long.
no, you would just say, hey, my headlight's out. Let's go driving.
If St. Louis were to do something like that, in fact, they won't, because it's not even close to one of our biggest problems. Do you think people would be angry about it, or would they like it?
I think people who normally follow the rules would be angry and say, well, am I a chump then for paying for my own headlight? In the same way that we do with our expired tags.
I think I'm going to go ahead and I'll wait till we start the voucher program. That's what I'm going to do.
We won't.
I got a burnt out light right now. Amy Marks, Corzine, Chris Ranji, Gilbert King from Bone Valley Podcast next on the show.
When you want a brand new kitchen, there's nothing to it. There's a brand new way to do it. 3-Day Kitchen and Bath.
Rochelle talks about her experience with 3-Day Kitchen and Bath.
It was a wonderful experience. I had heard about them on the radio. They come out to your house. They let you know what they do. They let you pick out your features, your colors, and then they come into your home the morning they start. They walk you through, this is what's going to happen, and you leave for a few days, and you come home, and it's done.
Was it easy?
It made it easy because you're not in the middle of a mess for 2 or 3 months. Left on a Tuesday morning, and it was done on a Thursday night. We came home Friday morning early because we were so excited.
What was your reaction when you first saw it?
Wow.
It's about time.
3 days or less
at 3-Day Kitchen and Bath.
At 12:30, it's sunny and 43 degrees downtown at the Arch. Our first major snow event of 2023 is coming. AccuWeather's Matt Benz tells us when.
Later tomorrow night, especially after midnight, right through early parts of Wednesday morning. Probably the teeth of the storm coming right during the morning commute. What are we looking at for snowfall totals? Accumulations of 3 to 6 inches, and that's going to cause not only widespread travel disruptions, but snow-covered slippery roads. That snow will gradually taper off into the afternoon on Wednesday.
The U.S. government has closed a years-long investigation into exhaust odors in Ford Explorer passenger cabins, determining that the SUVs don't have high levels of carbon monoxide and don't need to be recalled. A weekend movie update.
Avatar: The Way of the Water topping the U.S. box office for the 6th weekend in a row. It has now topped $2 billion at the global box office. It's already the 6th highest grossing movie ever. Tom Busby, Bloomberg Radio.
And right now we've got stalled vehicle 55 south at 270 north on the right shoulder. Also 255 west at Telegraph. There's a stall on the right shoulder. We've got a crash 70 east at the Missouri River. The 2 right lanes are still closed. This afternoon, a high of 44 degrees with a mix of clouds and sun. For tonight, some clouds and a low 30. Tomorrow, snow returns tomorrow night. Will continue through Wednesday morning, accumulating 3 to 6 inches. High tomorrow, 44. The low tomorrow night in the low 30s. It's a sunny sky, 43 degrees at the moment downtown at the Arch. I'm Michael Calhoun, KMOX News.
Join Mark Patrick Seminars. Lose the weight and stop smoking. Only $49.99. Seminars Wednesday, February 1st at the Holiday Inn Express Suite St. Louis Airport in St. Louis. And Thursday, February 2nd at the 4 Points by Sheraton St. Louis Fairview Heights in Fairview Heights. Weight loss seminar 5:30 p.m. Stop smoking seminar 8 p.m. Sign up at markpatrickseminars.com.
If your business has 5 or more employees and you managed to survive the past couple of years with everything and that COVID's thrown at you, all of the challenges from restrictions and shutdowns to supply chain issues, a shortage of workers, it's been pretty tough. And if you could use a break, well, you could be eligible to receive a payroll tax rebate of up to $26,000 per employee. Now, this is not a loan and there's nothing to pay back. It is simply a refund of your taxes. The hard part can be getting your hands on it, knowing, okay, how do I cut through the red tape? How do I make sure I can get my business the refund money? Go to getrefunds.com. The team of tax attorneys that they've put together are highly trained in this little-known payroll tax refund program, and they've already returned $1 billion to businesses, and they can help you too. They do all the work with no charge up front. They simply share a percentage of the cash that they get for you. To find out if your business qualifies, just go to getrefunds.com, click on Qualify Me, and answer a few questions. Getrefunds.com.
Broadcasting from the Underlying Tree Lawyers, GetJim.com studios.
KMOX.
What really matters to you? At Archwell Health, that's what matters to us. When Linda told her doctor about the trip her family planned for her 70th birthday, our team worked together to improve her mobility. Then there's Shirley, who wanted to lose a little weight. She and her doctor chose an Archwell Health exercise class, and her dietitian also had a few ideas. We're here to help you live your life to the fullest because you are more than a patient. Join today at archwellhealth.com/livewell.
Your home of the Cardinals.
Arenado swings and hits it deep to left field. That ball is out of here.
The Billikens.
Jumper. Yes! Billikens win!
The Chiefs.
Touchdown! Kansas City!
We are America's sports voice, KMOX.
Hey, listen, this is the story. It is what it is. You believe it or don't believe it. It's up to you. It will not change the fact that I'm an innocent man. That truth transcends people's disbelief. I don't need you to believe in me to make it true.
So here's what we learn about Leo.
You'll learn a lot about Leo from the Bone Valley podcast. And Leo is Leo Schofield, a guy who was from the Boston area and moved to Florida back in the 80s. Ended up getting married to a young woman there. They were both young, actually. He was 21 and she was 18 years old when she was murdered. And Leo Schofield has been in prison in Florida since 1987 as a result of that murder, even though it looks like he didn't commit that murder. And joining us now is author Gilbert King, who has written the book Devil in the Grove. And now he is working on this podcast, which is still ongoing. It's called Bone Valley, and it is very, very good. I've been taking the time over the last several weeks of listening to Bone Valley, and you can listen to it as well on the Odyssey app. Gilbert King joining us today on KMOX. Good afternoon, Gilbert. How are you doing?
Hey, Chris. Great to be here. I'm doing fine.
I really enjoyed the podcast, and it's interesting because Amy, my co-host here, and we sometimes joke about, we actually often joke about being wrongfully imprisoned. It's like this fear that you didn't do anything wrong, but you're accused of it, and then you go to prison. And what has happened to Leo Schofield is a worst fear that she and I have, and I imagine a lot of other people feel exactly the same way.
Yeah, it's funny. You struck on something right there that I've talked to a lot of people who've been exonerated from their convictions that they've been, convicted of. And they all seem to have the same kind of naive sense that Leo shares, which is like, look, I just need to say it this way. I just need to run to the right person, and this will all make sense. This is all a big mistake. And they kind of put so much trust into the justice system, thinking that, nobody could ever be wrongfully convicted. That won't happen to me because I'm innocent. And, it happens all the time, as we know.
Well, and that's my question. I know that you look at this case, and now there's evidence that he did not commit this crime. He's saying, I didn't do it. Another person is confessing to the crime, and yet the justice system isn't acting in Leo's defense. I don't know how you can compound a nightmare of being wrongfully convicted than having the evidence come out that should exonerate you, but no one takes action.
Yeah, to me, that's the most staggering part of the whole case. A lot of times we run into these wrongful convictions where, okay, here comes the DNA, and it looks like it's another man's, identified at the scene of the crime, and there it is, let him out of prison, and he gets out of prison. In this case, it was basically the same thing. You have forensic evidence, fingerprints. There's no doubt that they're Jeremy Scott's fingerprints in the car. And then Jeremy Scott has confessed multiple times in detail. And you think that would be enough to get somebody out of prison. And the state of Florida is just saying, you can't believe him. It's just a coincidence that his fingerprints are there. And it's just maddening to actually think about.
What's interesting, Gilbert, and how you found out about this case, because you were working on a completely different project, and a judge came up to you at a presentation and asked you to look into this. And you were like, I'm busy. I have too much to do. But you went with it anyway.
Yeah, I think I was paying him the courtesy of him being a sitting judge. And so I did call him and I talked about the case, and I found it really interesting. And I thought, I would like to get to this, but I'm trying to finish up my book. I have this, deadline I'm working on. I'm trying to get this done. So maybe I'll come back to it in a year or two. And I could just feel like his disappointment over the phone. Like, he doesn't have a year or two, this is a man who's wrongfully imprisoned. And he just said as a last minute thing, he said, just do me a favor, just read the trial transcript. And he asked me to do that as a favor. And I that was the way I think I probably got him off the phone. I agreed to do it. And then I started reading it, and then I began to see it for myself. And that's what started this 4-year journey looking into the Leo Schofield case.
Well, and you and your research partner, Kelsey Decker, you interviewed more than 150 people. So did you find out a lot of details that even Leo Schofield's defense didn't know?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. The fact that we did a real deep dive into Jeremy Scott, because the state of Florida, once they found out Jeremy's fingerprints were found in the Mazda, they kind of shut it down really fast. They didn't do much of an investigation. And so we set out to do the investigation into Jeremy that the state failed to do. And that was most of the material that we'd come up with. Leo and his defense lawyers just had no idea about this. They didn't know that he was actually responsible for killing another person just weeks after Michelle Schofield, that he's never been caught for, never been charged with. And he basically confessed to that murder, too, in great detail. There's no doubt that he did that killing as well. So, yeah, there was a lot of new material in there for Leo's lawyers. And it was just new to everybody who looked into it.
The defense attorney who represented Schofield, I don't want to say incompetent, but it certainly doesn't seem like he did the work necessary to defend him. And then you have a prosecutor who seems to also really take amusement in putting people away and putting them to death. Both of those guys have passed away, so you couldn't interview either of them. It just seems like the worst possible combination of factors going into this thing for Leo Schofield.
You're absolutely right about that. And in fact, Leo even says it. The biggest mistake that he made of his life was not sticking with the public defender's office. And that's something you don't normally hear. You usually hear, like, you got to get a private attorney because public defender's office, they're too overworked, they're overburdened. But Leo decided to go with this flashy, well-known celebrity defense attorney in the area. And it was the biggest mistake of his life. He did no pre-trial preparation, didn't interview any witnesses. He barely looked at any of the evidence until like the night before the trial. So he was completely overwhelmed by a young, aggressive prosecutor who was, just determined to lock Leo up. It's just a really just bad luck for Leo that he went with this private attorney, because I do believe the public defenders would have saved his life.
That is, it's so interesting to me, because listening to the podcast, you mentioned the fact that attorney, the defense attorney, didn't even meet with him until the day before the trial started, which I don't think I've ever heard of anything like that. That's malpractice.
No, and this is a death penalty case. Keep that in mind. And Leo said, he showed up at the meeting with a blank pad. He had no notes on it, and he didn't go over any of the evidence against Leo. He didn't really do anything. His style was sort of trial by ambush, he called it. And he'll just take every witness the state puts on and he'll just cross-examine them. Well, he was getting a little bit older. He was not as aggressive and not as up-to-date in science and technology. So he really did get overwhelmed. And, to his credit, he did testify that he provided Leo with ineffective assistance of counsel. So he did sort of fall on his sword for Leo's behalf. But by that time, it was just too late.
Well, and wasn't the prosecution, their main case hinged on one witness who heard screaming? They didn't have bountiful evidence against Leo.
No, they really didn't have it. It was a circumstantial case. So they had no physical evidence linking to Leo to the crime, and no eyewitness testimony of people who said, I saw him commit the crime. What they basically had was this neighbor who lived across the street who claimed that she heard a noise, woke up in the middle of the night, and saw Leo carrying something heavy to the car, which could have been a body, she said. Come to find out, her own sister-in-law lived next door, and she also testified that she was there with Alice talking about it, and they did see this together, but it was not the night Michelle disappeared. It was a week or two beforehand. And she was adamant about that. And for some reason, the way the prosecutor just sort of tied that up as if they both agreed on this when he was making his closing statement, it was just a lot of misinformation and misdirection.
This just seems like a case, and you hear about these sorts of things all the time, where a state, a prosecutor, they have their guy. They know who did it, and they don't ever want to back off that despite any new information, almost like they don't want to be wrong. Is there any evidence this is anything but that?
No, I mean, I've looked at this case for, years. Everything I find just ends up pointing closer to Jeremy and away from Leo. I'm absolutely convinced that if you got one of those conviction integrity review units to look at Leo's case, they would come to the exact same conclusions that we had come to looking at our evidence about Jeremy Scott and taking a closer look at the timeline that the state says happened. There's no way Leo would have had to have been in two places at once that night. It's just physically impossible to do what the state, alleges. But, sometimes when you have a really aggressive and effective lawyer arguing your points and you're matched up against sort of an incompetent counsel, a lot of things can go wrong. And that's exactly what happened to Leo.
I guess I'm confused then. Why does the state of Florida not want to take any action? He's spent 34 years in prison already. He's always maintained his innocence. Jeremy Scott now is forensically linked to the murder of Michelle Schofield, and he's given multiple detailed confessions. What can Leo do now? Will the state of Florida be forced to act by somebody? Can the Innocence Project step in? What happens now?
Honestly, there's not much that can be done, right? Leo has exhausted all his options in the courts. So everything has been decided already. Multiple judges have ruled that Jeremy Scott is not a credible witness. And so once they rule that he's not credible, there's no more evidence that can come in regarding Jeremy Scott's confessions. And so Leo's kind of out of luck right now in terms of what the courts can do. There's other things that can be done. He could get clemency from the governor and the parole board. They could just pardon him. I mean, the governor technically could pardon Leo. And that's happened to me before with my book, Devil in the Grove. After that came out, some politicians got involved and tried to correct this injustice, and it got to Governor DeSantis in Florida, who ended up calling a clemency board hearing, and all 4 members of the clemency board pardoned the Groveland 4. And so that's how it was resolved. It was not resolved in the courts. And so that's a possibility for Leo. If enough people are really, community minded and maybe enough pressure to break the pipes, something like that could happen for Leo. That's what I think Leo is hoping.
There's a change.org petition too, right?
Yes, the change.org position, and that's calling on the state attorney in the 10th Circuit, where Leo's case is, to release the case over to another unit another circuit with a conviction integrity review unit, and they have the power to go back over a whole case in its entirety. They don't have to, pay any attention to missed appellate deadlines or anything that's no longer. They can look at the whole case from scratch, which is what myself and Kelsey did. And I think if they were to do something like that, they would come to the same conclusions that we did.
Gilbert King, who is the producer and host of the Bone Valley podcast, is with us right now on KMOX. And your most recent, it was a bonus episode. You talk with Scott Cupp, who is the judge who notified you, who told you about this case in the first place and told you to look into it. He has left the bench to become an attorney again so he can represent Leo Schofield. Have you ever even heard of anything like that before?
I really haven't. I mean, it was kind of shocking to me because I'd had conversations with him about, when he was going to retire, and it was years down the road, and the things he wanted to do, and maybe move closer to his family on West Palm Beach. So it kind of came out of the blue to me. And that's when he mentioned it, we decided to go down and do that bonus episode when he went to visit Leo and to visit Leo in prison and tell him that what he's decided to do and basically get Leo's blessing. I've never heard anything like it. And, I can only tell you how much it meant to Leo that, he was getting back his friend onto his legal team, that he'd been separated from for over a decade. It was just really emotional and powerful. But I think, the thing about it is Judge Cupp knows this case as well as I do now. And he's known it this way, for quite a while. And he just believes that Leo's innocent. And he has a hard time moving on from this case because he feels like it's a huge injustice that's stayed with him.
I saw the piece from last fall, or maybe it was the end of last summer, the 2020 episode where they covered this case. They spoke with you about it. You'll be featured in the New York Times this week, correct? They're also discussing the podcast?
Yeah, there's a story coming out sometime this week. I'm not really sure, but it's about Judge Cupp and the podcast, and it should be pretty interesting. I know the writer's been working on it for some time now. So,
well, hopefully, Gilbert, there's some kind of positive resolution here in the future, and if so, we'd love to talk to you again. We thank you for your time today.
Thanks so much, Chris and Amy. I really appreciate you having me on. Thank you.
That is Gilbert King, producer and host of Bone Valley Podcast. And it's also, when you listen to it, you can hear as the podcast goes on how just invested he and his assistant and the judge and all these people who get to know Leo Schofield, who are just absolutely positive he had nothing to do with this murder. And it makes them sad. They're trying to do a job here, but it also makes them sad this guy's been in prison and has no business being there.
It's a horrible thing not to be believed. Imagine how you feel when you're trying to tell somebody either something that happened or that you did or that you didn't do, and they don't believe you.
Yeah.
And there's no,
sure, okay, whatever.
Yeah, and there are no legal consequences to it, but it's so frustrating. You almost feel like you're losing your mind. Now, imagine there being not just legal consequences, but you're spending your life in prison or a capital punishment case.
Imagine going to jail at 21 and being there until what?
It's
You're
your-
now in your late 50s?
It's your entire life.
Your whole life's gone.
It's your whole life.
It's
I don't know how you don't lose
I
your
don't know.
mind.
I don't either. And there must be times where you think I can't do this anymore, and I don't know. It's a really unbelievable, and I can't believe the state of Florida is doing it. Really. So download the Odyssey app, and you can listen to Bone Valley. It is very, very good. Amy Marks Kors and Chris Ranji on KMOX.
Well, I've been wearing contacts since I was 12 years old, so eye health is a big deal. Not just because, you want to make sure you can see, but it affects your everyday life. It affects your quality of life. Do you have dry, itchy eyes? It's so distracting. When your eyes itch or hurt or burn, you can't think of anything else. It's just so consuming. And that's why I go to the doctors at Ophthalmology Associates. Dr. Birdie takes care of my eyes. He knows, okay, here are the contacts you're going to wear for the most comfort. Here are some drops that could help you out. Maybe you need some fish oil because the glands around your eyes are a little dry. They customize the experience. It's not just like a big box in and out and, you get just the run-of-the-mill routine. Your eye health is indicative of your overall body health. And did you know your yearly eye exam is covered by most insurances? So don't put it off. Call the doctors at Ophthalmology Associates at 314-966-5000, 314-966-5000, or you can go to youridoc.com. They're centrally located right on Manchester Road, just near West County Mall, actually. So they're easy to get to. Such a key part of your overall health. 314-966-5000, youridoc.com.
I'm back to doing what I love and more, thanks to the Good Feet store.
Hi, this is Arnold, owner of the Good Feet store. How many blocks can you walk before you want to sit down because of foot, ankle, knee, or low back pain?
I really just wanted to avoid staying on my feet for very long at all.
Do you hate going to work in the morning because you already know that you're going to hurt?
If you're just in pain, you're hurting, you tend to get a little distracted from what you're working on too.
Come to the Good Feet store today and try it before you buy it.
I hobbled into the Good Feet store. It's been one of the best decisions I ever made. It was an investment in life.
Call 314-317-9494 or visit one of our 2 locations. On Olive, west of I-270 in the plaza with Subway, or in Shiloh, Illinois, across from Deerbergs.
Thanks to the Good Feet store.
Individual results may vary. Consult your physician for medical conditions. Visit the website goodfeetstlewis.com. Start the new year on a better foot. Come in and try the Good Feet feeling today. Comfort, energy, performance, and pain relief at the Good Feet store.
Track your blood donations right from the palm of your hand and stay updated on special promotions. Download the American Red Cross Blood Donor app today. To learn more, go to redcross.org.
The greatest radio talk show host ever.
Now, more of the show.
Dave Glover Show coming up soon. Amy Marks Kors, Chris Ranji on the show today. Again, anything you missed, it's on the Odyssey app. You'll go back and download it, and you can listen to the show tab, the podcast page. It'll take you to exactly where you need to be. All of our interviews will be on it. Gilbert King, Matt Pauley, Stephen Portnoy from CBS, and Missouri Senator Holly Thompson-Rader.
Okay, here's an update on the poll. You can vote at the show KMOX on Twitter. The question is, what's the longest a wedding ceremony should last? Your options are more than an hour, 30 minutes to an hour, up to 30 minutes, or less than 10 minutes. Do you want to guess which one's winning, Ranj?
I bet it's the half-hour one.
30 minutes to an hour. 40% of people say it should last 30 minutes to an hour. 38% of people say it should last up to 30 minutes. 16% of people say less than 10 minutes. And 6% of people say more than an hour.
You know what that...
Kevin says, stupid discussion, stupid poll.
Kevin who?
Not Kevin Wheeler, a different Kevin on Twitter. He doesn't want to get involved. But thank you for listening.
I don't care what Kevin has to say. But thanks for tweeting, whatever.
Yeah.
It's actually not a stupid. It's a really good question because people, every wedding I've ever been to that's gone really, really long, everybody complains about it. They don't do it loudly, but the people you're sitting next to are like, okay, come on, let's wrap this up. I've never been to a wedding and the people sitting in a long wedding going, this is great. I love all of this.
I think unless it's something really special, kind of like what Matt Pauly was saying, because I can see that. I can see, obviously faith is a big part of my life and wanting to incorporate that. But it also depends on what kind of wedding you're having. Is it a church? Are you down at the courthouse? This was a small home wedding, very, very intimate with family members, and it was perfect. So I think it depends maybe on the wedding and the couple. But the really, really long ones can be a little draining.
Yeah, it's not great.
And then, do you know what's actually also difficult? When you have the wedding ceremony and then you've got to kill like 3 hours because they take photos.
Yes.
But then like 3 hours is not
Yes.
enough to go home and change, or if it's out of town.
Yep.
So you have to go find a bar, and then the reception hits and you're like, man, I've been out for 6 hours already.
I went to a wedding once where they had the ceremony.
Mhm.
Then there was an immediate brunch afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was a long break and the nighttime reception. It was
Ugh.
3 different things you had to
That's
do.
a lot.
And it was nice. All of it was nice, but that was a massive commitment. It was literally with about a 2 or 3 hour break in the middle. It
Mhm.
was a 12-hour commitment.
That's a lot. No, this one was absolutely perfect. My brother got married. We had, like I said, special, and we got to add in our faith, special prayers. My dad said a prayer, Bible verses, and it was snappy. And they said, I do. And then we danced and ate taco Buddha. It was like boom, boom, boom. 6-minute ceremony.
A text message, by the way, says the Foundry will go the way of Laclede's Landing and Union Station. People don't go where they feel unsafe. Regarding our conversation earlier, that's my concern with what happened at Foundry.
Oh, you can't let that happen.
Absolutely not. Last thing the city needs. Dave Glover coming up next. Amy and I will stick around. You have been listening to the show.
Stole many a man's soul of faith.
Are you tired of paying fees and commissions year after year, even when you lose your money? How would you like to